Hey, kids. You're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast. Prepare for the SML Podcast.
I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of like, what in the hell in 2022 broke me so damn bad that, like, all of the games that I really enjoyed in 2023 are all, like, essentially kids' games where nothing really happens. It's a shitload of fetch quests, and, like,
why don't you save this for the show?
I'm going through my Xbox list of everything I downloaded within the year, and I'm just like, what? Because I'm like, all right, which games are my favorites? And it's
I like how I say, why don't you save this for the show and you continue talking?
Shut up, Joe. Anyway.
Got him.
All right. What's up, everybody? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. This is our final show of the year.
Woo.
Yeah, I know. Of the year, we are wrapping things up in style. We've got a whole bunch of people here. Aki's here, Chris is here, Jacob's here, Pernell's here, Andy's here, and Tim is here. How is everybody doing all at the same time? Go.
Good.
One person. Love it.
I thought we were all going to be in on that. Shoot.
Well, yeah. I was trying to stagger them out. I can't speak for you guys.
Man.
I mean, I
dramatically late.
I figured I'd be nice and let other people talk first because, you know, I'm not rude like Joe or Aki.
I was waiting for the crowd to start so I could sneak mine in.
I'm usually the last one who says how I feel anyways on all of these, so I don't know what you're getting at, Jacob, but...
Friendship. Talk about friendship.
Nope.
Andy, how are you doing? You're not on that much. Tim and Andy, how are you two doing? Let's hear from you two.
Same time, go. Good.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited that we are wrapping up the year in style. We got a whole bunch of people here. We'll have a whole bunch of games to talk about eventually, but it's end of year. We should probably talk about like the best of the year, the worst of the year. I mean, the worst of the year is obviously doing this show, so let's not include that.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I unexpectedly got a big box from Limited Run Games today.
Whoa.
Which,
no one ever gets stuff from them.
What's in it? It was something I ordered. It's just like I didn't even know that it shipped. That's how I participate with Limited Run Games. I know some people get butthurt because you order a thing and then it takes a long time. But I'm just like, I order a thing and it leaves my mind.
Cool.
It shows up. Once it shows up, because it's not like I've ever had anything not show up. It's like, oh my gosh, this is great. So no, this is the Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection Volume 2, the limited edition version that comes with a nice book and a nice steel book on top of that. And I was just extracting it from it because I got it out of its box, set it on my chair, then forgot about it until when I sat down to do the show. And this is a nice blue steel book that came with. And these are more the Neo Geo games that I haven't played, Neo Geo Pocket games, so that's also cool. Because I reviewed the first one for this very show. This is on Switch, yeah. And it comes with a nice retro.
Fall into the abyss of my gaping butthole.
Written by Jeremy Parrish. So that's cool. That's a good thing that happened this year.
Another good thing that happened is Carnage just rated us with 16 viewers who have all fallen into Jacob's gaping butthole. Welcome in everyone. This is our end of year show. We're chatting about good things. Tim's talking about his Neo Geo Pocket Collection 2, you said?
Mm-hmm.
From Limited Run.
Yeah, that just showed up.
I'm looking up pictures of this. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, because I know you're a big lover of steel books.
I am. I love my.
I think I sent you a picture of because I also have the first volume, and I sent you a picture of that when it came in just to flex.
I've been easing up on my steelbook addiction. Like my addiction to physical gaming in general has been waning in recent years.
Yeah,
and like part of me wanted to get.
Luster.
Yeah, it. So many things get special editions anymore that the special editions, the really special ones, are hard to spot.
Well, on top of it, I mean, like, how many times, like, does Walmart release, like, a Zombieland Steelbook edition? Like, they used to be something special, like, as, like, a pre-order bonus for something. Now it's just, like...
Are you talking movies now?
Oh. My bad.
I mean, it can apply to either. Best Buy does the
both
steelbooks
ways.
as pre-order bonuses a lot still.
I mean, my reasoning was more akin to like when it comes to video games, just the fact that due to the fact that it's basically like an install of a file off the disk, and technically, since this is how those things work now, if a company doesn't want you to use the product off the disk, they can technically just not let that happen. So the licensing issues can apply regardless of whether or not you have a physical copy or not on current systems. So for me, for that reason alone, I'm like, well, what's the point in even having it? It doesn't serve the purpose I want it to.
Yeah, I still like getting. I'm still building out the Switch collection, even though that kind of shoots me in the foot more than anything, because then it's like, oh, I have one physical copy. If I just had this digitally, then both me and my child could play it at the same time. But yeah, with like PS5. Xbox stuff, it's like why am I getting this installer disc? This just seems like nonsense.
Yeah, and I'm in the same mindset too. Like I stand by it. When the Switch is done, that's it. Like the Switch is my final console that I'm doing that kind of thing with.
Okay, but what about Switch 2?
True.
That's a good question, though. I'd be honest with you, I don't expect Nintendo to deviate from the path that everyone else has been dealing with, so the Switch one may still be the final one where I do physicals for.
Yeah.
You think?
Then you're starting off fresh too. With
exactly.
Do you think
what if it doesn't have the same cart?
Switch 2 would have the same cart slot? I was just
what if it has the same cart? That would. If you can't
have
stick
carts, will it be digital only?
I don't think
will it have a different shaped cartridge.
I could see.
We may have at least one gen left before digital only becomes the thing.
Yeah, if you can't stick a Switch 1 game into a Switch 2, like, oh man.
So with that said, though, like
it's perfectly reasonable, but oh boy,
it is Nintendo. They would do something like that.
And Nintendo is doing. Sorry, Best Buy is doing its part to herald in the end of that era, though, with their next year plan. So we'll see how that plays out.
Dropping physical movies completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've heard people claim that might apply to video games too, but I have no way to confirm or deny that.
Best Buy just going the way of GameStop and turning into a toy store.
I mean, they
in their case, toys being expensive TVs and speakers.
No, that wasn't a joke. I don't know what you think.
I mean, last time I was in there, I was surprised, like, how many random aisles of, like, shit that they had there.
Like Lego and
it turned into, like, an FYE.
Mm-hmm. Desperate to keep physical business FYE going.
Once upon a time, there was an FYE.
There still is FYE. Though it's different.
They still have those stores?
Yeah, there's an FYE in the mall, like right down the street from my house.
That actually makes me happy to hear.
That would probably go away the second you stepped inside the store.
It's a misery pit there now.
It's not the same as it. I mean, they're not. Guess what? They're not selling movies and music. It's a lot of toys and everywhere. Like pop culture stuff and like
cereal.
Licensed food items of here's a chocolate.
They had Garbage Pail Kids cereal at one point years ago.
Yeah. Last time I stepped into
Bootios there years ago.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was gonna say the last time I remember stepping in there was to get a present for one of my friends, and my ex-girlfriend was in there working at the time, and I had my oldest, who was just a baby, in there, and she's like, "Oh my god, how you doing?" And instantly Sam just starts bawling at her, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, well,
I didn't train him to do this, I swear."
Just instinct.
That's actually pretty funny. No, poor lady. but it's okay.
Oh, so yeah, horrible things. What kind of awful games have you played this year?
Yeah.
I'm kind of lucky. I don't generally experience that problem. I don't understand when people do play awful games unless they're Chris, because he openly bought one. No,
I bought more than one.
More than one. What was the other bad one? Not the one that's obvious. The one that's not obvious.
Oh, I can't say right now, but like, I buy them a lot.
Well, not the one that you're talking about today, potentially. I'm talking about another one.
Yeah. No, I buy ones that are just goofy. Yeah. I'll have a title for you soon. I have to look through.
I mean, I feel like even with the review copies that come through, I can't. I mean, if it's not Gilson, B, or Pontus related, I can't think of a game I've gotten this year where I was just like, this is an abomination.
I was gonna say,
funny
I
did
mention
that.
No, but I did want to give a special shout out to Gilson B. Pontus for not sending us Jim Baori, the Onin War, which is his 2023 game. It looks terrible.
Had a new game this year?
Yeah.
I thought I reviewed one of his games this year. Was that
one
last year?
every year.
Pretty much. I think he.
Does that mean I reviewed that game last year and it was so bad it stuck with me?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh God!
Well, at least it was meaningful to you in that way.
Yeah, meaningful comes in many
always
forms.
have the memories for
it
now.
does. It does.
I mean, unless what you reviewed was Jim Baori, the Onin War, but I think that just came out in September, so I think we would have remembered.
How come he never brings this stuff to like other systems? How come he's only PlayStation? Has he ever said?
You want him to?
He's never said anything.
Do you want him to bring it to other systems? I mean, leave the plight where it is. Don't spread that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I do, just so I can see how terrible these things are.
Horrific. Just horrific. Just asking for punishment.
I think the light bulb in my room is flickering. I have that.
I guess an easier question to ask would be, if you had to name the potentially worst game you've played this year in a sea of games that weren't bad per se, what would be the worst game you played, and then what was probably the best game you've played?
Okay, well, so I haven't reviewed anything since August. I've been gone for a minute, and I reviewed less before that. The only 3 games out of how many did I review? Let me slide this over. I reviewed 21. This is 22 here tonight. I gave 3 games a deny it. One was 9 Years of Shadows. Another was Curse of the Sea Rats, and the last one was Double Dragon Gaiden. So those are like probably my 3 least favorite things that I played this year, I think.
I think I gave 9 Years a try it, if not a buy it. I actually liked it.
Yeah. Well, I don't agree.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Beauty of the hobby. I mean, I was a Double Dragon, I felt like was okay when I played it, but I also played it in co-op, which makes a world of difference. But that's what I mean. Like, I totally get it. It's totally good. I'm like, oh, this game is great. Like, fuck you, that game's terrible. So I get it.
I mean, I don't care. Enjoy your bad time.
Hey, what was your favorite game? And then I'll tell you how bad it was. I'm not going to say that, but I still want to know what your favorite game this year was. Then,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think my favorite game. So I have like 3 that are vying for the top spot right now. I don't make my end of year podcast for Triple Radio is recording next Friday night on Twitch TV /X-Drake Studios. Plug. That's when we're recording our end of the year. But boy, it was a banger year, I feel, for games in general.
It really
It was insane. It was insane. And I was saying this back in June when it was like, oh, you had Street Fighter 6 and Diablo 4 come out in like 3 days of each other. And then a new numbered Final Fantasy came out at the end of that month. And there was a new Mortal Kombat this year. And that Resident Evil 4 remake that was awesome. And I really didn't get a chance to play a ton of, unfortunately.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, that game's pretty good. Tears of the Kingdom.
People like that one.
That one has a really good chance of being number 1. But in the intermediate, I actually have not finished either of these games yet. And one of them I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 since September.
That's one that gets a lot of talk as one of the big ones
rightfully
of the year,
so.
Obviously,
that game is very good. But I stopped playing it for like a couple weeks when Spider-Man 2 came out. And right now it's trading time with Alan Wake 2, which is the other one that's up there. Like, holy shit, that game is good. Like, my goodness, that might be like the best looking game I've ever seen. But the only problem is I don't get to play it because I have to wait until my kid is in bed because it is too spooky for him.
Ooh.
But as a fan of Alan Wake the First, who felt that game was criminally overlooked, it has done my heart good to see, not only to play this game and enjoy it and see how cool it is, but to see like it getting a lot of attention in awards and, you know, I guess at the Game Awards specifically. But yeah, it seems like people are pretty hyped for it. So that's awesome.
I can't wait to play that.
What was that, Aki?
So I can't wait to play that game. I still don't have it. I want it so bad.
I need to put more time into Baldur's Gate 3. I've only put like 2-3 hours into it so far, and I'm loving it. I just have no time to do anything anymore. I think that's the biggest problem is lack of time to play all the good stuff this year.
Yeah, that's why I stopped doing this shit. It's just like, where am I going to have time to play all these good games if I'm reviewing other stuff? It's at least half true.
Indeed.
So, Jacob, what about you? Favorites of the year, least favorites of the year?
So, as we were discussing before the show, which Joe was then like, Jacob, why don't you discuss it during the show? And I'm like, fuck you, Joe. I'm going to do what I want. Yeah, I'd really love to know what in the hell in 2022 that broke me so bad that all of my favorite games for 2023, almost all of the favorite games, are like aimed generally at kids, like little to no violence. It's just a ton of fetch quest, like just chill experiences. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was looking through my list of everything that like that I've reviewed, and of course, like, you know, everyone knows I'm addicted to Disney Dreamlight Valley. But it's just like Paw Patrol World and Rainbow High from Outright Games were like legit some of my, like, I love just running around and just doing nothing in these, as opposed to like, you know, trying to like kill everybody on a certain level, or like Modern Warfare 3, just figure out what the fuck they want me to do.
I have an answer for this, actually. Because your brain just wants like something simple to do. Like you have, you know, I have this as well, where it's just like, you know, I've worked, come home, kid, chores, etc., and I sit down. It's like, I don't want to learn something new. I don't want to like work really hard. Like this is why it took me actually a little while to like really get into Baldur's Gate, because like just sitting down and figuring out the systems and how the game played like was kind of overwhelming, which is why like the first couple weeks of September, which is like my busiest time of year at work, that's when I was playing Starfield, because like you do not need your brain for that. Like I've played Bethesda games, I know what's going on here. I played Starfield for a couple weeks, and that was the only couple weeks I played because that game's the way it is. But, you know, in that moment, it was like, I just want to sit down. I want to do something familiar. I don't want anything too intensive. Just kind of go to quest marker. And then like, once I got my brain back, then I start doing this. But, you know, I go through that where it's like, why aren't I playing the new hot thing? Well, it's because my brain just, you know, it just wants to chill.
Yeah.
I find myself going back to Diablo 4 because of that. Because it's just familiar and it's what I want to do. It's just a good, fun action hack and slash. It gets a lot of shit for not having enough content, or, you know, the end game's not good enough. And like, I'm just going through the story and having fun. Like,
I heard that game's gotten better. I was just reading an article the other day about how it's improved substantially from launch.
It since launch, so I haven't had an issue with it. So Jacob, what were you saying?
But yeah, like going back to like least favorite games I've had to review this year. One of them that came up was Skinny and Franco Fists of Violence, which was just this beat 'em up that Joe and I had played. And it was like, I just remember it just being like so very mediocre, like, and nothing like actually hitting when it was supposed to. and all that kind of stuff. And I also hated the hell out of Crash Team Rumble.
Well, I remember that.
That's a game I still don't know why it exists.
You still what?
Wonder why it exists.
I don't know, but they're doing Happy Meals for it right now.
Yeah, no, my kid got a Crash Team Rumble toy.
Yeah, mine did too.
He got a match game in Spyro's head.
Okay, I think that's what my youngest got too. I think.
Yeah, we were playing earlier.
But yeah, I was really surprised by that. Like, not only is it kicking, but they've got freaking Happy Meal toys for it.
Crazy.
Whatever.
Hey, more power to it, I guess.
Yeah. And then my actual worst game of the year, that's coming at the end of this episode.
We'll get to that.
Damn.
That's self-inflicted.
We're gonna learn that one live.
Also, I will say this too. My kids would give a special shout out to the Home Sheep Home Farmageddon, the Shaun the Sheep video game that came out. They absolutely adore that game. Yeah, for them, that's
a really solid puzzle game.
That's honestly their favorite game of their. Oh, they don't even play the puzzles; they just play multiplayer and constantly screw each other over. Like they just love doing that.
Nice. So Andy, what about you? What kind of good stuff have you played this year? What's on your shit list?
I was trying to look through and see what my shit list was. I know there's a couple games that I reviewed that I didn't really like, and it seemed like a lot of people liked them. But the shit list first, Oni, Road to be the Mightiest Oni, I didn't really like. I just thought it was a very tedious and repetitive game. Just bad graphics to it and just not fun. I Am Future, I know a lot of these are like indie games too, so maybe nobody's heard of these. I actually did a play test for it too, and I'm not a big survival crafting fan, and so the game, we got a lot of people that like kind of backed it and thought it was great, but I just wasn't into it. It was another take 100 sticks and make it into a log, and then use that log to build this bridge. And a lot of people really liked. It seemed like on Steam at least. I reviewed the Forest Cathedral, and that one just didn't really hit with me. But. Some games that I did like, I would say I really enjoyed Pikmin 4. I thought that was a really fun time. I love Pikmin.
Playing that right now.
Oh, nice. Those are great games, and I like that they re-released the 1 and 2 also. Pizza Tower I thought was phenomenal. It was just a nice, good game,
I have not played that yet.
Dave the Diver I'm playing right now, and that game is phenomenal. I would
list.
Pin that up against, at least for me, between Dave the Diver and probably Laika Age Through Blood as my personal game of the years. Blasphemous 2, Zelda, of course, was awesome. That game is really big though, so I kind of fell out of it. And I would say Bat-Boy too. Bat-Boy was a nice homage to old style games too. Yeah, some good stuff this year, definitely. I mean, Diablo 4, like you guys mentioned, Street Fighter 6 came out too. That one was really, really fun. I mean, I'm
gonna be the weird one. I'm going to be the weird one and jump back a little. Tears of the Kingdom, I know it's gotten a lot of praise. I didn't click with it. I couldn't get into the building stuff.
Really? I've been
alone in that.
Sucks to be you. That game rules.
Yeah. I know. I
think it's really good, but it's huge
You're not alone
too.
in
Like
that.
There's so much. There's so much to it. Like I know.
I think it's a great game. It deserves all the props it gets. It's just not one that clicks with me.
For sure. Like you said, different strokes, man.
Yeah.
Sea of Stars is on there too.
Sea of Stars is real good. So good.
Yeah, there was a lot of
Chris. I know on the tip of retro RPGs, I think Chris would mention Chained Echoes.
That was last year.
That was last year.
Last year?
But yes, you should mention it.
that became my goatee for last year.
That's right.
At the very last minute, it was going to go to Live Alive.
To me anymore. It just all blends together.
But yeah, having now beaten Chained Echoes and having played through a second time as well, I still think it's really, really great.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone play Cocoon?
Yes.
I really like Cocoon.
A little bit, yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
What is that about?
You play as this
question.
weird bug thing, and you solve puzzles by going into marbles.
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's like worlds within worlds. It's really cool.
So I don't get to play as Wilford Brimley. No?
No.
Okay.
I got that reference.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's on Game Pass. And it only takes like a few hours to play through. Like you could beat it in an evening.
Yeah,
That's
I've got
getting
it
a lot of
downloaded,
praise
and it
this
looks like
year.
a really cool game. So,
Aki, what about you? I know you've played some bad stuff this year.
I can't remember half the games I've played, so I can't tell you what the bad ones were. I can only tell you which ones I liked.
Good, keep it
I-
You aren't
positive.
going to tell us about Lord of the Rings?
No, we don't talk about
oh
that.
yeah,
Oh, you played Gollum?
Yeah. I
Oof.
reviewed Gollum.
Oh,
I blocked that out of my mind. I forgot that came out this year.
I think everybody did.
I don't think I've ever played a game that bad. So I'm just gonna leave it at
Hey,
that.
you willingly requested Walking Dead as well. So
That game was so much better.
I mean, she didn't pay for it though,
worked.
so
I didn't pay for either of them.
that's better than what me and Jacob did.
Yep.
I didn't pay for Golem, and I still think I deserve a full refund.
rough.
Golem was not good. That's probably one of the single worst games I've literally ever played, ever. And I've played
Very
a lot
good.
of shit in my
Very
life.
good.
It's bad.
All
Ooh.
right, what are some of your highlights?
Echo Blade was really good. You play as a blind knight in that one. I really like that one because obviously it's about being disabled. So thumbs up for that. Chance of Sinar is one of
play
my
that.
game of the years. It
got
is
that downloaded. Yeah.
It is so good. You really need to play it. It'll take you a couple days probably. It is fantastic. You learn like 5 different languages in it.
Probably something I'm gonna
And-
play next week when I'm off.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is fantastic because you have to learn to translate these languages, and you actually have to understand the grammar structure for each one of them to complete the game. It is so good, and those are like the 2 of my top tier games for this year.
What else is on my? I'm trying to think what hasn't been mentioned. Boop.
Anyone
I
else
don't wanna
have
take-
any highlights, lowlights that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I was waiting for my turn.
Oh, Chris, I thought we covered you already for some reason because we talked about Kong.
You asked about Chained Echoes, and then we wandered off.
That's right. Chris, tell us about your highlights and lowlights.
It kept coming back around to me because of I mentioned Gilson B. Pontes, and yeah, we talked about we mentioned Kong. We will talk about Kong soon.
Right.
Okay, so
Give us your highlights. I got to stand up quick and unscrew this fucking light bulb before it drives me nuts tonight.
That's cool. That's no problem. So yeah, as far as the show goes, obviously my I guess I'll start with the bad games. Martian Panic was a real bummer. Although I did buy the this is one of those things like what we were talking about with Pernell is like purposely buying things that are bad, as I bought the little Zapper controller holder for Martian Panic just because it amused me greatly. So also did Running Fable, was not a fan of that.
Yeah.
That one was so weird. And then to answer Pernell's question from way earlier about games I actually purchased and played this year, even though they weren't released this year, but like stuff that I intentionally bought and played. I'm gonna shout out Alien Destroyer, which is from it's from this publisher that does like these just really bad games. It's the that fighting game that I was talking about the couple years ago. The same person or same publisher there. I'd have to find the name again, but the other one would be Forklift the Simulation. I bought 2 games about forklifts. One was Forklift Simulator, and one was Forklift the Simulation. And I tried them both on Labor Day because I did a special stream of all job-related games. And while I found Forklift Simulator to be cheap but inoffensive, Forklift the Simulation just kind of sucked. So
Damn, tell us how you really feel.
yeah, well, it's just it had some problems, lots of problems, and nothing to do with like it in no way recreated like the experience of actually driving a forklift. So
have you driven a forklift before?
Yeah, I've worked several. Yeah, I've worked a lot of. No, it's okay. I've worked very few jobs that weren't like labor. I know it doesn't seem like it, but yeah, I've worked in my share of warehouses and stuff.
Yeah,
but
so are you forklift certified?
There's kind of. It's kind of like there's.
That's
Don't
a no.
Don't incriminate yourself.
But
Don't
not
incriminate
currently.
It's one of those things. It's never been required, so I think that's kind of more of a joke than anything. Like certain jobs may require a certification in maybe certain states, but I live in Texas. We're unregulated on everything. So I've gotten some training if it's a forklift I'm unfamiliar with, but apart from that, not really. Random Spin Games is who created Alien Destroyer, which is a first-person shooter with one level where you just shoot alien things as they come down. They're like spaceships or skulls or whatever, and it's just there's no background to it. It's just like some stuff way off in the background, like a JPEG of like some mountains or something, and you're just in an endless desert, and it's just like it's nothing. Which is what this publisher puts out. I don't know if they're a developer.
Madam Nevermore is asking if it's like Space Invaders.
No. That
was like, a good game.
It's funny too because there's other games that they came out with that I purchased and they aren't available anymore. So, and I think they've even changed their name since I downloaded this. So
it's always quality when you buy a game and it gets pulled from sale.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyway, that's the bad. I spent way too much time talking about the bad. So yeah, I think that my top highlight of stuff I've reviewed for the show is actually a recent one, Astlibra Revision Proof of Life, which I talked about I talked about it on Steam, and then I bought it full pop on Switch, and I've been playing it ever since. I'm right at the end, and I'm about to pull the trigger on that ending. But yeah, I absolutely adore this game. Yeah, I know Pernell does too, because I saw a picture of his Steam Deck where he had it on there.
It was my game of the year 2022, and
nice.
I could have, if I wanted to cheat, I would have chosen this year. But I was like, no, give it something else.
Wait, what game was that?
Revision.
Yeah, I think I'm about to buy that because somebody kindly sent me a gift card in the mail.
Ooh.
It could have been anybody. Who was it?
It was Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Merry Christmas.
It's a great game. I can't sing its praises enough, really. And it's, I only really got it, I was interested in it and I requested it based on just the strength of the background art, because I was like, this is some damn good background art. And I wasn't sure how the actual game was going to be, but yeah, once I started playing it, it's just everything about it is fascinating.
I will say the one thing I warned Tim about, because I think his taste might be a little different in that sense, is that it can get a little tropey. If you don't care about that, then you're safe. But that's like the only potential negative I can generally give that game, is it can get tropey with the stupid tropey with some of the plot points. But the main story is fascinating.
Yeah, it'll have you guessing a lot. So, it's kind of cool like that. I just wanted to say this is a huge year for retro remasters and collections. I'm just gonna rattle off a quick list of stuff that I've personally touched on. It's not that long, but so we had started off with Wonder Boy Anniversary. We got the Ninja Jaja Maru collections, including the Lost RPGs, which is wild. Would have literally never thought about that. Gimmick coming out, as well as Trip World, which we didn't get to review, so I don't have to talk about it. And then Etrian Odyssey HD Collection, Bat and Kaitos 1 and 2 HD Remaster, the frickin' Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters all came out this year. I mean, good lord. So
Xbox gamers still crying over that one. Come on, Square, give us the goddamn Pixel Remaster.
Yeah, there's the Metroid Prime Remaster that I reviewed.
Yep.
And Mario RPG, which I haven't touched yet.
Yeah, I was gonna separately shout out single game remasters, but you're exactly right. I had both of those listed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Dokapon Kingdom Connect, which is really cool. That game was way too expensive for way too long. Huh?
That was this year?
Yeah, in May.
Wow. In time, boy, I tell you.
May, April, somewhere around there.
Man, time doesn't make sense anymore. It just
it's true. But yeah, like I said, my I think that Ass Libra Revision Proof of Life is my go-to for the year, and I'm actually going to give my purchased game of the year to Etrian Odyssey HD Collection, because I never thought it would happen. I knew FF Pixel Remaster was going to happen, and I love those games. I beat all 6 of them this year, and I love the Super Mario RPG, but like Etrian Odyssey, that's close to my heart. So that's got my ultimate well done. And a also quick shout out to Vampire Survivors.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
God,
I don't know if it came out this year, but I certainly played it this year.
Yeah,
it came out on some console.
It came out on. I think
it
it came out on
Switch
like Switch this year.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, DLC just hit yesterday.
DLC. Yeah, Among Us.
The Among Us DLC.
Oh yeah, and FF16, I guess.
I like that.
Yeah, I like FF16. I just haven't played far enough into it to obsess
I finished
over
that game. It ends well.
Very nice.
Nice.
And also,
Nevermore is asking if anyone has played The Gap.
Don't think so.
Heard of The Gap.
God damn it! Yeah, that brought up exactly what I thought it would Google.
Also, shout outs to Dragon Quest for coming out with a new Dragon Quest Monsters, which I know that's important to some people, including me. And also Infinity Strash, which I still haven't checked out yet, but I purchased sight unseen because I knew I would have to have it. So can't talk about those ones, but shout outs to him anyway. And shout outs to
talk about him if you want.
and shout outs to Gigantosaurus Kart Racing, just because.
Personally, I was more of a fan of Paw Patrol Kart Racing, but
we can fight that battle at a later time. It's Christmas now. We got to put away our differences.
Yes, we
There's
must.
a couple other things I want to mention,
and that's that
nobody mentioned. I'm just gonna say Mario Wonder out loud. I mean, that's obvious, but that game was awesome.
Yeah, Mario RPG as well.
Oh.
Yep, Hi-Fi Rush was very early in the year, but was like really cool.
Good.
Also, WarioWare.
Oh, I haven't played that yet either.
Oh, I did.
A lot of stuff came out this year. So much. I have not played Lies of P yet. I'm dying to play that. I've not gotten to really play Armored Core 6 yet. I'm dying to play that. There just hasn't been enough time.
Yeah, I will say, like, Super Mario Wonder was kind of great because it's kind of like getting me used to like the new voices and stuff. WarioWare had the opposite thing. I'm missing Charles Martinet so bad as Wario with the guy they got now.
Oof.
I'm hoping it gets better, but that's the only thing holding me back from WarioWare being like, more fantastic than it is, because the game itself is great. It's the new smooth moves, so
yeah, gotta
love it.
And really, like, actual sneaky, surprisingly good game was Bayonetta Origins.
Nice.
Which I did not expect to enjoy that much, but is legit. I liked a lot more than Bayonetta 3. Just like really beautiful game that's like relaxing and fun to explore, and probably no one's gonna remember. Came out this year.
Heck yeah. Do.
All right, transition, Joe.
I don't know what to transition to.
Reviews.
Madam Nevermore was asking if anyone tried the beta for Skull and Bones.
Didn't know there was one.
Yeah, that's coming out in February, something like that.
Supposedly.
Yep.
It
says release date February 13th.
What kind of games are you hyped about for next year? Is Skull and Bones on anyone's list or no?
That's going to be a no from me, dog.
No.
No.
I mean, right off the rip is Final Fantasy Rebirth, 7 Rebirth in January, and I'm very excited for that.
Oh, January already? God.
Yes. No breather to catch up.
No, I know. I just beat Rebirth, and I'm like actually kind of in the middle of Intergrade. So yeah, this is
Intergrade's not long.
Yeah, I gotta finish that one up, I guess, next before I get to move on to other stuff I've been putting off forever.
What about Hades 2?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, that should be.
I think that's first quarter too.
Fuck yeah.
Does it have a release
It's
date?
early access, so I'm not getting that excited, but
Yeah, it's still going to be really good.
Still, yeah.
I have a couple early in the year that I'm excited for. The new Like a Dragon game coming out in January.
Mm-hmm.
Infinite Wealth. Persona 3 Reload is coming out in February.
Mm-hmm.
And then in March, Unicorn Overlord. I am dying to see more on that game.
Yep. And Dragon's Dogma 2 is in March.
Mm-hmm.
It's the new Vanillaware game, Unicorn Overlord.
Oh, yeah.
I wish that helped, but that does not.
Okay. All right. They made,
Well,
they made Dragon's Crown.
Look it up. I've talked about it a number of times on the show over the past few months since they showed it. I'm so excited. I'm just thrilled that the Vanillaware game is coming to Xbox.
Yeah, they put infamously big-titted girls in their games. You'd love it.
Yeah, Aki.
Nice.
Aki suddenly cares.
and delicious looking food.
Oh, I approve. Yes, okay. I'm looking this up right now.
Game of the year.
Yeah. What else? I was just looking at
Hellblade
2. Hellblade 2 is finally coming out next year.
Yes.
I've been waiting forever.
Wait.
That looks really good. I hope that it actually releases. We've been waiting so long. Like, the fact that they just said it's coming out 2024, it worries me because when in 2024?
Yeah, Avowed is listed for 2024 as well. Hopefully some of these Xbox first party stuff start to hit because my God,
they need it.
Yeah.
I mean, Sony didn't have a big year either.
No.
First party wise, they only really had Spider-Man, which was great, but they didn't have a lot of first party output.
Not like the
Final Fantasy
like
to help
last
them
year.
At least.
Yeah.
For me,
Nintendo, meanwhile,
Baldur's Gate was basically a timed exclusive on PlayStation while they figured their shit out on Xbox. With the Series S holding up the co-op.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Well, because it didn't, like, Microsoft said they had to have parity between the consoles, and they couldn't do that, which is why it didn't release right away. And then once it turned into a big hit, Microsoft was like, shit, no, you can just get it out. Fuck.
And it's apparently already, like, topping sales charts on Xbox.
Oh, sure.
So that's awesome.
Tekken 8 comes out next year. That's cool.
Has anyone played Harvestella?
I've not played Harvest.
I have not played it. Yeah, I bought it for my sister last Christmas, actually, so I know it was last year. Oh yeah, Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door.
Yep, that's next year.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
Let's say we're probably getting a Switch 2 next year, right? We all thinking that same thing. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
Sure.
Next year's going to be the year for the Switch 2.
I would imagine so.
If it happens, it happens. I'm drowning in Switch games as it is. So.
Yeah, I feel like it's about that time.
Aki, what are you looking forward to next year? I know Alone in the Dark and Banishers that Madame Nevermore is mentioning are up your alley.
Yes, I am super, super excited for both of them, and I definitely won't be able to play Banishers for a while, because we definitely can't get that for me for review, because it comes out before I get home, which makes me very, very sad. I want it so badly. And then there's, I'm hoping that, what was it called? Harmonium? I'm hoping that comes out next year, but I don't think it currently has a date. The musical one about the Death Girl.
They showed.
I'm hoping that comes out next. Yeah, I hope that comes out next year, and I want it so bad. I'm kind of interested in the remake of Brothers: The Tale of Two Sons. It looks really good, and I'm also looking forward to Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, which was the Life is Strange based, seemingly horror game. That looked kind of cool. And then Visions of Mana is supposed to come out next year.
Oh, man,
yeah.
I'm so excited about Visions of Mana.
Yeah, sadly, I don't have a lot of memory of what all's coming out next year other than the stuff that was at the Game Awards, so I'm kind of useless.
I'm looking forward to Space Marine 2. I'm glad that's finally got a date, or a date-ish. Didn't they have a date September or something? I don't remember. I don't have my notes with me, but I'm looking forward to Space Marine 2. Ayuden Chronicle. I know that's on a lot of people's lists.
Rising is still on my list, so we'll see if I get around to it by the time it comes out.
Did they give a date for the remake of Snake Eater?
I don't know.
I don't remember if there was a date for that or not.
I don't think there's a date for that.
Oh.
Damn.
But anyway, yeah, it's been a good year for gaming. Next year looks to be good as well. Anything else that anyone wanted to chat about before we dive into reviews? Because we still got a handful of games to talk about for the final show of the year. We got some heavy hitters with the final game of the year.
Being the heaviest of them all.
Indeed. So yeah, anything else anyone wanted to chat about, or should we dive into reviews?
I think I'm good to go.
I'm cool with diving.
I was going to say Helldivers 2 comes out next year, too. I don't know if you guys are a fan of that game.
Oh, there you go.
Speaking of diving, yeah.
Speaking of diving.
Right along the same lines. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That game looks awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Another game that looks awesome is our first game we're going to talk about tonight. Cookie Cutter, developed by Subcult Joint, published by Rogue Games, released December 14th on Series X and S, PS5, and PC for $19.99. Love turns to rage and chainsaws in Cookie Cutter, a totally unique hand-drawn 2D Metroidvania. Become Cherry, a violent android on a rage-filled quest to save her creator. Tim, tell us about Cookie Cutter.
Creator and lover.
Ooh.
Is there anybody in this chat who likes lesbian cyborgs?
Don't we all?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of
Yes.
Aki in particular.
Yes.
Yes, like
Yes.
slamming on the unmute button over there.
Yes, I was. Yes.
Like, how's this fucking thing work?
Um,
Need to answer.
yeah, I've had my eye on this game for like quite a while now. I don't know when I first started following like the account on Twitter. Just like friend of the show Dale North like retweeted something. It was like, this game looks awesome, and I'm like, this game does look awesome. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. And then just in the past couple months, it's like, oh shit, we're getting close to release. So yeah, I mean, the first thing that's gonna jump out at you about this game is the animations are just like so good. They're just gorgeous and gruesome, and so well done. It is unbelievable that it came from such a small team. They got some just incredible animators working for them, like right off the bat, kind of in the intro to the game when Cherry gets all fucked up when her and her creator are attacked, and there's just like she's like ripped apart and dragging herself across the floor, and just like that first animation is just like so good and so fluid. It just great. But yeah, then you get into the game, this Metroidvania game. There's been a few of those in recent years. I played a lot of them. I reviewed a lot of them. So they can get on my nerves. It used to be a genre that I loved, and now sometimes I'm just like, oh god, I've done this so many times before. Good news, this game doesn't get on my nerves. Is it plays really well, like despite the sometimes I think when you get games that are so well animated in a, you get them in a Twitch action like platformer sense, they can feel sluggish and slow, and this is not that. Jumping feels good, just moving your character around feels good. It doesn't feel, you don't feel like slippery or slidey like when you make impact on the side of a ledge and pull yourself up. It feels good. Double jump feels good. Just your standard Metroidvania movement stuff like all feels really nice and has good distance and speed and responsiveness to it. That's your double jump, your air dash, like your ground pound, stuff like that. And when you're making contact with the enemies, that feels good as well.
You want to know what else feels good? Getting a biddy drop from Madam Nevermore, dropping 50 biddies in chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you get in there, you have like your basic kind of attack combo, kicking it enemies, but you'll get additional weapons to throw into your combos. The first one you get is like a big mechanical fist, and then next you get like a guitar. And things kind of escalate from there, and they have different movements you can do with them to work them in. You can combo enemies up into the air, slam them back down. There is a parry system, which I've inferred from following the developer that people are complaining about being a bit too touchy. I think it works really well. Like, I can usually dial it in. The time, like, enemies will have this kind of blue flash before they do a parryable attack, and then you can parry it, and then you basically get a one-hit kill. And that's kind of the argument of the developers, like, well, we want to make it a tight window because you can like obliterate very tough enemies with this, like even stronger enemies. You might have to parry them like 3 times, but then it sets up a button prompt for the Y button where you do this like elaborate, it's a distinct animation for each enemy with how Cherry will just rip them to shreds. And those are
so good.
They are so good and just so brutal. But they just look so great. They're mesmerizing. So I feel like, to me, the parry feels good. This is a game in which the parry feels good to me. I feel like I have figured out the timing pretty well, but I know that it's something that they're looking to adjust. The game is good. Like when you get in there, like you get out of that intro and you meet up with this guy who sends you to go do a thing. And you do this first thing, you have to go like retrieve his bag out of the sewer that's under this diner that he lives in. Then at that point, you get the key cards and you can start like exploring the world. And it has not felt like overly guided at this point, the way a lot of Metroidvanias have felt that I've played, like indie Metroidvania games where it's like, okay, these games are about exploration and looking for secrets and moving vertically, up, down, around in the environment. But a lot of times I feel like I'm playing them and I'm still too guided in the early game. Like they have their structure, but it's like, well, you clearly want me to go this way. This game, I have felt like I've had a lot more freedom to move around and poke around and find things. And I appreciate that a lot. You're going through, this is like a dystopian cyberpunk, future, but everything is shit type world. Characters are robots and have cyborg parts and all that stuff. So you're going through like mech factories and sewers, and weird bug dens. That's kind of the setting of it. But there will be traps and hazards in the environments. That's the only thing that is like really kind of bugs me. Is just kind of the scale of the screen. Sometimes I'll like fall down like a pillar. Whatever you want to say. I'll just fall off the bottom of the screen. It's like, oh, there's like an electric trap down there and I take damage. And that's, I just didn't see that. Like the screen like wasn't pulled out enough for me able to see that I was falling into a trap. But then you could just say, well, maybe I should take it a little slower. And I should fall down to that platform and look before I just go dropping to the bottom of this shaft. Yeah, no, that is not how I do. It hasn't really killed me. It's just kind of annoying. I'm just kind of like, maybe you could use a couple more iframes there so I don't get hit twice when I'm trying to get out of said hazard, but it's not the end of the world. You have, along with your life bar, you have like an energy meter, which dictates how much you can do with your... The fuck? I don't know. Sorry, I just heard weird noises. I also don't know where my phone is. Besides the point. Sorry. Yeah. Anyways, your weapons that you use go off the same meter. It sounded like there was a ghost and there was wind, and just things happened. I'm sorry. It all happened at once, and just now I'm curious as to what's going on. Maybe my house is getting spooked. Anyways, so yeah, you have the second kind of energy meter that dictates your some of your special moves and other things that you get. And that can also, when you just stand idle and hold down, you can just heal yourself in place, kind of reminiscent of the way you could just heal yourself in Hollow Knight by standing still and holding something if you had enough energy, which is good. It keeps you pretty healthy. Tough to use in boss battles because they're just all over you, and in certain enemy encounters when they're just all over you. But it's good to have. I'm not dying like a ton, like when just exploring the world. Because of that, am I dying on bosses? Yeah, sure. Am I dying in like larger rooms with tons of enemies in them? Yeah, but like it feels fair, which is good. And you can get there's components is what they're called in the game too, and you can equip them to your character, which gives you one of them. This is how this sprung to mind is that lets you heal faster. Ones that make you stronger, ones that make you this ability is better, or this ability uses less energy, things like that. And you can customize those. You'll find more energy for equipping more of those around the world. So there's reason to explore. It's impressive. It's an impressive game. It's got some stuff to work out just in terms of like glitches, which, again, I've seen the developers say, hey, patches are coming. we're working on this stuff. We're going to smooth these things out. They're listening to what people are saying. But I think overall, like, having followed this game for, again, years and seeing it come along, like it's delivered. Like, it's really cool looking. It plays really well. It's fun. And I've been really enjoying it.
Oh, well, it clocks in at $20. What is your verdict on Cookie Cutter?
Well, nice. It's currently on sale for like 15. So buy it now because then you save a few bucks, but you can buy it later too because it's also good. And well made. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tim, that is it for you. Thank you as always for joining us and hanging out with us. We got to get you on more frequently.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to.
But we like having you here.
Yeah, when the moment calls for it.
When the mood strikes.
When the mood strikes. If Ubisoft wasn't weird with their licensing for Assassin's Creed, it would have been a lot sooner, right?
Yeah, that would I don't know what the hell happened. That's
I don't know. Hey, there's that Prince of Persia game that comes out next year too.
Very
Hopefully
true.
That's good. I'm dying for a good new Prince of Persia game. I'm not holding my breath yet though.
The on hands impressions seem to be pretty good for it so far. So
yeah, I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
Well, do you have any final words before we let you go?
No, I don't. Should have thought of that. It's been too long. Yeah. All right. Anyways, good night, you guys.
Take it easy, Tim.
Later, man. Good to see you.
All right. Next up,
night.
Vampire Hunters, developed and published by Gamecraft Studios, released July 26th on Steam for $9.99, and just recently had a new update in November, adding a whole bunch of content. Hunt vampires, you'll need guns, lots of guns, mow down vampires, demons, and more by stacking your guns into absurd, impossibly awesome builds. Unleash your firepower and become the baddest vampire hunter in the first roguelite survivors FPS. Andy, tell us about your time with Vampire Hunters.
Dude, that update dropped today too, so I had to go through it and double check and make sure I got all the extra information and things like that too.
I think that's actually a new update compared to the one that we were covering.
Oh, really?
So this is like extra update on top of update.
Oh yeah, it was like new guns dropping on the 19th today. So I was like, oh god, like I gotta check and make sure I have all the extra info on that. Dude, honestly, this was in my opinion, a really good game. A lot of games seem to be going that route of like, vampire survivors. It's got a very similar name, Vampire Hunters. It plays very similarly. It's got the 30-minute runtime, where enemies spawn and they continue to ramp up in difficulty. But it's got some new features to it. It is a first-person shooter, and it's got the roguelite elements to it too. You run through levels and pick up guns and upgrade those guns and just wreak havoc on enemies coming your way. You can hold up to 14 guns total, and which fill your screen. Yeah. You've got guns over the top of you. You got guns to the side of you, underneath you. It gets a little crazy. Luckily, you can adjust the settings a little bit too, so that it's not just guns on the screen. You can actually see like kind of what's going on. And set a few things up too, so that you can see the enemies a little better. They're like highlighted, in different colors and stuff too. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, that's basically the gameplay. Is you're running around and you're picking up guns and you're trying to take out just hordes of enemies. And so these enemies spawn from different, set locations every time. And like I said, as you go on, the timer keeps ticking. The longer you're in there, the more enemies show up, the harder they become to. Different enemies spawn. I think there was about 10 or 15 different enemy types that spawn out of there. Each a little bit ranging in difficulty too. You've got kind of your easy guys, the sinners, the reapers, the sultan of spears start getting a little bit harder. Minions, and then you have bosses that appear every once in a while too. The bosses kind of threw me off a little bit because you're in first person and you're running around, and then just a huge enemy will come out of nowhere and just kind of like push past all the enemies like you're fighting. So there was one that was a huge plant that I fought, and it pretty much takes up like the whole one side of the arena you're in. There was a praying mantis, which was pretty cool, but he does, like I said, like push past everybody, to attack you. The one I hated the most was this like skull in a ship that just fires these fireballs at you, the whole time, and then a wizard that kind of keeps its distance the whole time and does this almost like a meteor rain attack on you. So that guy kind of sucked. I didn't really like that guy very much, but the gameplay is really fluid. The controls felt really good. I played it on controller. It's probably set up better for mouse and keyboard, but I'm a controller guy, so it worked pretty well that way. The only time I ran into something was if I paused the game and I had to click off. I had to click back onto the game and like, move my controller around a little bit before it re-registered. But besides that, it was pretty good. It's got a heavy soundtrack. That's the only other thing that kind of bugged me on this was the soundtrack, the songs they have. And they have a pretty extensive soundtrack. Each song is between like a minute to like 5 minutes. So at 30-minute runs, they got pretty repetitive, but that wasn't really a bad thing, It was just something I noticed, You also pick up chests along the way, which will upgrade your weapons, and you're picking up orbs too, which the orbs, after you've gained a certain amount, just like in Vampire Survivors or any other game along that similar style, you'll actually get an upgrade option. So you can you start off with one weapon, and then you can add a weapon to your arsenal, like I said, up to 14. Or you can get a extra item that just improves your stats or overall health or anything like that. So that was pretty cool. Plenty of achievements in the game as you go through each round, that you can unlock. You unlock new weapons, upgrades for those weapons, new stat boost items. You also unlock these things called constellations, which are... they're kind of pre-run equipable items that can change the run for either the better or the worse, essentially. One of them lets you heal while standing still, but you couldn't heal while moving. Another one turned the screen upside down, which I didn't even try to play around with that. But it gave you a 15% increase in speed. Yeah, I was like, no, this game is hard enough as it is. And then there was another one that upgraded all the weapons that you have, but also gives you like a boost in your score too. So there was a few in there that like really like ramped things up, and like helped you out a lot. And then a couple that just like totally screwed you over. Talked about the enemies. The enemies are all really cool, different in the center, the werewolf, and they all have like some crazy health bars to them too. So expect to grab a lot of guns and upgrade them as fast as you can to take them out. You can also get inventory items. There were at least 60. They added a bunch today too. So I counted 60 different items you can gain and unlock too. Those just boost your stats too. There was a silver spoon that increases damage output, a winter orb that slows enemies, harpy claw. My favorite was the lucky vampire slaying underwear, which just improved your luck, but it was just an awesome name for it. Agility potions, those kind of things. So those were all really cool. And yeah, I didn't talk very much about the guns or the blood actually. So there's a bunch of different guns. So you have like I said, 42 unlockable weapons that you can hold. So you have a huge variety of guns, and each one comes with like kind of a different play style, which is cool. The revolver, rifle, shotgun. Then you've got things like the crucifix boomerang. You have a baseball bat. You have a ripper that shoots saw blades at enemies. The dragon whip, which is one of my favorites. The dragon whip and the baseball bat are both like kind of close range weapons, and they deal so much damage. They're so awesome. Flamethrower, laser gun. And then you can unlock those weapons as well and start off the run with those. The more bosses you beat, the more weapons you can unlock. And then as you play with each weapon too, it unlocks a upgrade before you even go into the level too. So increased stats for that specific weapon. And then while you're in the level too, as you gain all those blue orbs, you can upgrade your weapons too. So just increase stats, faster fire rate, faster reload time, those kind of things that just make the run easier for you. There's a couple familiars which were cool too. The raven, a frog that explodes and deals poison damage, and a cat that kind of heals you over time too. So, and then last but not least, one of the cool features to it was this kind of like blood ritual orb that you have in the middle between your health bar and how many orbs you're collecting. And as you gain combos, you get better, what's the term for it? Like blood consumption, I guess. More enemies you kill, the faster that little bar fills up. And then once you use it, it just increases all the weapons, like damage output and fire rate and everything. So it just turns you into a superhero for, however long that orb lasts for. But so that was really cool. But overall, it was a really fun game. It's got very positive reviews on Steam, and I had a really good time with this one. I thought it was great.
Well, it's only $10. What is your verdict on Vampire Hunters?
Honestly, at $10, I would say go ahead and get it. I thought it was more expensive than that too, and I would have bought it if it was more expensive. I've put quite a few hours into this already, and yeah, if you're a fan of this style game, especially a first-person shooter perspective too, it was really fun. I recommend it.
Cool. Their early access states that they do have plans for one price increase before the 1.0 launch, so get in now while it's $10.
Yeah, grab it while the getting's good.
Cool. Speaking of getting while the getting's good, Andy, that is it for you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
We will let you skedaddle. Do you have any final thoughts, final words before you wrap it up for the year?
I just want to say thank you so much for letting me on the show, giving me an opportunity to play and review some fantastic games. And to everybody watching the show, I hope you guys have a fantastic holiday.
You too.
Sounds good. Have yourself a good night.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Later.
Night.
All right, next up, Born of Bread. I am very excited to hear about this one. This one looks great. Developed by WildArts Studio, published by Dear Villagers, released December 5th on Xbox Series X and S, Switch, PS5, and PC for $29.99. Born of Bread is a wacky and joyful RPG adventure revisiting turn-based combat tropes. Play as Loaf, a flower golem, discovering this enchanting world full of humor along with a colorful cast of buddies. Pernell, tell us about your time with Born of Bread.
So worth clarifying up the top that he says flower golem, but in most cases you would think that would be Flower, but I guess the title of the game gives you the indication that that's actually flower, Flour, because the premise of this game is essentially that a group of archaeologists accidentally unearth a ancient group of evil villains from an ancient civilization who, now that they are back, are hoping to revitalize their ancient civilization and then, of course, rule our current one. And it is up to you, the main character, to stop them. Typical narrative from the offset, but the thing that makes it a particularly interesting aspect of narrative is that you were actually baked by the Queen's royal chef, completely by accident, in an attempt to appease the Queen's, ill-tempered wishes. Instead, he bakes you, a flower golem that he names Loaf. And almost immediately after this happens, said evil doers show up to the castle demanding the Sunstone. And in the bit of the panic that takes place, the chef and Loaf are blasted out of the castle, off into the distance. This then leads to some narrative bits where Papa Baker, who is the chef, gets blamed for the incident. He gets locked in prison. And the adventure ultimately starts off in earnest with Loaf trying to prove his innocence, which, of course, being an RPG means that it leads to other things and eventually saving the world, because why the hell not? So you might be asking yourself, why should I play this game? Is this game something that would appeal to me? I'm just going to spoil the offset and say, yes, this game is great. If you may have eventually particularly come across like a Nintendo Life review about this game from a few weeks ago, where they mentioned a bunch of bugs that may have delayed or offset the game's progress, I'm happy to report that I did not experience those bugs in this game. I wanted to get that right out the way because I was worried I'd experienced them, which was going to sour my taste in this game, and that did not happen. But the actual gameplay, as you're exploring the world, is the best way to put it is, do you remember Paper Mario, as in the ones before Nintendo got all crazy about how they, decided to change the game to origami and freaking whatever gameplay mechanics that weren't the classic ones, i.e., 1,000-Year Door and the first one on N64. Well, you're getting that experience here, but with a new cast of characters. And I'm happy to report that it's a lot of fun. It holds up very well. Battles consist of Loaf and one partner that he can find on his adventure, joining him in combat. And you can attack enemies by performing various functions. Like if you're playing as Loaf, his attacks are based off of items he can find on the journey that he can then equip to his backpack in a polyomino style, slot system. And each weapon he slots in there gives him one new attack that he can use. Each attack has its own attack power, number of connection strikes, and a mini game associated with that determines if you succeed or fail at the attack. So, for example, there's a sickle weapon you get early on in the game where in order to use it, you have to fling the control stick back and forth multiple times until the meter gets to green. There's other times where it's just a matter of hitting the button when it hits a certain timing point. There might be one where it's hold it to a certain point, keep the target on the center square, the center of the bullseye, and more will appear as you get new equipment items in the game. It's actually kind of fun to find these new weapons and then try to slot them into the backpack, hoping to have a ridiculous number of attacks available at any given time, because each attack not just has those elements of attack damage and number of strikes, but they also have strengths and weaknesses to them too, in the form of like an element system. I don't even know what all the symbols are, so don't ask us. There's like leaf, apple, ice, fire, ember, star. There's a lot. The game doesn't make it too hard to keep track of them in battle, so it's not a big deal. But you'll want to have as many attributes associated with your attacks as possible to have the right one at the right time. So you'll be using these attacks. Most of them require weapon points. There's other attacks you can get there. Use something called resolve points. You'll get them throughout the game by way of like narrative beats or items you might find. And you'll be performing the attacks. And when the enemy's turn comes up, they'll strike just like a Paper Mario. And when they attack you, you can hit the A button on the right precise timing to reduce or completely nullify the damage they inflict upon you. I will say the game has felt pretty easy for me, but with that said, I've also been pretty good at using those dodges. I don't want to think of how hard it might be if you suck at that. So I'm just going to tell you, perform well, or else you might come to regret it. The world you explore in this game is extremely colorful, vibrant, and fun. I like the writing in this quite a bit, and coming to new locations is always a joy. NPCs generally have multiple lines of dialogue that you can hear or read, rather, depending on how many times you speak to them. In fact, one of the NPCs early on flat out tells you, talk to people more than once, because they might tell you different things. That results in some fun dialogue bits and the occasional side quest that might be, attributed to you or assigned to you in order to reap rewards. And I'm going to tell you right now, at least in some cases, you're going to want to do these side quests, because I know, for example, one particular one early in the game that I did increased my inventory bag size. And if you don't get that inventory bag size, you will feel frustrated, because you start with the ability to carry 5 items, and that sucks. Each upgrade gives you another 5, though. So when I got that item, I was like, man, imagine if I missed this sub quest. That would have been awful. So just pointing that out there, which in and of itself is also probably one of the very few, if only, complaints I have about the game. Take this as you will. But I feel like the way they do the side quests, it might just be how I've been engaging them too. Keep that in mind. But I almost feel like they don't respect your time. Like they use them to kind of artificially pad the length of the game. Because you'll go to a location, talk to a bunch of people, and you're good. You'll go across the map to a new location, and you'll start getting random side quests wanting you to go back to the old location to do something there and bring it all the way back to the guy at the new location to get a reward. And you'll see that kind of thing happening constantly. You'll find yourself going back to Lapwing Village way more times than you should need to, just because it's like, well, I need you to get some mushrooms for me, but that's 2 maps away. I don't want to go back there. I want to move on. No, you want that reward.
Fall into the abyss
inventory increase
of my gaping butthole.
You really want to let that go? You're like, oh, shit. I need more inventory space, so I need to go find out. Just in case.
We need more inventory space because we just got raided by Dopey with 26 raiders. Welcome in, everyone. We were chatting about the game Born of Bread by WildArts Studio and Dear Villagers. Pernell, you were telling us about Born of Bread. Continue on.
So like I said, like I feel as though that's like the one gripe I mainly had about the game. I didn't like having to go back constantly for some side quests. I know somebody might hear that and go, "Well, side quests are optional." I'm going to go to hell. I'm playing an RPG. Side quests are never optional. Do everything. But getting past that component of it, I've enjoyed pretty much every element of acquisition in this game. Whether it be finding new weapons to equip to Loaf's backpack, finding hidden geckos that when you acquire them in sets of 2, you can turn them into an NPC that pops up at different areas of the map to allow you to earn skill points to upgrade your partner characters. And their upgrades come in the form of a skill tree, where when you unlock the skills on it, it's like, think of it like a branch that extends upwards, and then each of those layers of branches has like leaves extending one end on the left and one on the right. And the reason I say that is because each level you can equip one of those 3 skills for that level. So like the left leaf, the center, or the right leaf. You got to unlock each of them, but you choose which one you want for that slot on that character's action select, which gives you a little bit of customization also in regards to how you want that character to perform in battle. But I like doing that. I like getting new characters, which in turn allow them to get new map abilities, which open new places for you to explore and potentially find more secrets or things you missed in other areas. I enjoy that kind of thing. I like the music in this game quite a bit. I like the animations. Aside from the thing I mentioned before, I've had no issues with this game. It's been a joy to play, and I'm glad I got to review it because, quite frankly, the review I mentioned earlier did put me off on this game. I was pretty much ready to skip it, and being able to have played it and not experience those issues, I think this game is solid. It's a lot of fun to play, and if you've missed that Paper Mario style of RPG and you didn't get enough from having said play like Bugs Fables, which did Dear Villagers do that too? Maybe, I don't know. But you'll get your fix here for sure. This is a solid product.
Cool. Well, it clocks in at $29.99. What are your thoughts on that?
I'd give Born of Bread 100% solid buy. This is a fun time. I think it'll be well enjoyed by people. Come into it with an open mind and a heart that wants to laugh, and I think you'll be pleased.
Cool. And Bug Fables was Dangan Entertainment.
Thank you. I was like, I don't remember who put that out there, but.
All right, moving on. Next game is Raccoo Venture, developed by Diego Ross, published by QUByte Interactive, released December 14th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5 for $14.99. A collectathon 3D platform game where you explore the world to find all the hidden collectibles, solving secrets, puzzles, and find new outfits to customize our cute hero. Special abilities will blow your mind, controlling chaos and order. Recover the pieces to defeat the terrible tattooed Tatus. Aki and Jacob, both of you check this one out. Who wants to start? Okay, Aki, you start.
Okay, that's simple enough. You play... The world was created, the universe was created, and there's light and dark. Find powers that can destroy the universe. And they turned into chess pieces because chess is cool. And
like
for some
chess.
reason so do I. I don't understand why,
I do like
the
chess.
Primordial good and evil of this world, light and dark, has been turned into just chess pieces, and that's they don't explain that. Anyways, so you're a family, a bunch of raccoons, trash pandas as I affectionately call them. They have the entire chess set for reasons, and this stuff is stolen from you as you're sleeping on a rock one day in the nude. So that's great. And now it's up to you to go and find not only the chess pieces, but the actual tiles to the chessboard itself, because collectibles. And yeah, this game is basically you run around as this raccoon and you jump and ground pound enemies. It is fully 3D. And you can't control the camera, which kind of sucks. So you have to go behind things a lot, and you can't see what the hell's going on back there, which kind of sucks.
I'm gonna interject on the camera thing. It's a real pain in the ass, especially when you reach like hidden or bonus areas, because then you usually had to use some sort of like a platform or an elevator to get there. and you have no idea what's below you. And there's a couple of instances where that platform does not come back. And so it's just like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just jump off here. And then the game kills you and takes away 50 of your apples.
Which don't really mean anything, to be fair, as far as I've found.
It's still annoying, though. Like,
yeah. And it keeps track of how many times you die. So you get to see that number every time when you've died like 20 times on the same level, and you're just like, well, fuck you too. Not that that's happened to me or anything.
Of course not. Of course not.
This game is also surprisingly hard if you're trying to actually get all the pieces and stuff, because you can beat these levels without ever touching any of the tiles or the pieces that are in the level. You can just get to the end. Even doing that can be a real pain in the ass. Like, I'm still in World 1, I guess. I think there's multiple sections of the area you can go to anyways that have different environments. I'm still in the first one, and I've died like 30-something times. I've gotten halfway through it. I've missed a whole bunch of pieces. And and I totally didn't die like 20 times in a single level on the same exact fucking point. Yeah, totally. No, I never did that. I thought this was, like, it looked so cute. I was like, oh, this is a game for kids. This is going to be great. This is not a game made for kids unless you hate your kid.
You know who I don't hate? Root Beer, who just subbed for the 48th month. Thank you so much, Root Beer. Love having you here. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy the kitty cat emotes and the new animated emotes that we have. Some fun ones in there. But
nice.
Raccoo Venture, this game is tough. Like I died so many times because I would jump and try to stomp the enemy, and I would just barely miss, but they would punch me.
Oh my god. Yep.
Oh yeah,
and
that's happened a lot too.
And that I wouldn't mind that the ground pound was like your only attack at the beginning. Like, I wouldn't mind that if it was more. Well, even if it just like it did more damage to the surrounding area, so you didn't have to be.
If it had an area of effect to it.
Yeah, just so you wouldn't have to be as precise, because like, holy crap! I mean, like, I've gotten pretty good at figuring out where they're gonna land, but it's still annoying as shit. And like, you can easily lose a third of your life just because like you were like literally an inch off.
And a third of your life isn't very much. You have 3 bars of life in this.
Yep.
Getting hurt takes one away immediately. And if you fall, you don't lose 1 bar of health. No, you just straight up die.
Yeah, it's
even if you have a full thing. Yeah. Yeah, this game,
it's harsh. It's pretty strict for what I thought would be a casual, easygoing kids game.
Yeah, and have you guys tried one of the mini games, I guess is what they call it, where you throw the ball at stuff? It's in World 1 still. It's right after you beat like the first couple of levels. It's like a farm in the next area you unlock. Have you all gone in there and tried that yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I didn't do too hot.
Nor did I. I got like 15. Basically, after you get through a certain amount of levels, you find enough chess pieces and tiles that you're able to unlock the next area that you're in, and it gives you obviously more levels. Well, after the very first like 2 or 3 levels, something like that, you can unlock the next area, and you go into it, and there's this farm that's off to the side that you can go in and play a little mini game where you grab a ball and throw it at a target. Because you can't control any of the cameras, it is so terrible. Maybe if I had a mouse, maybe, but still not very likely. And you have to get a certain amount of balls. You're throwing a ball at targets, and half of them move, which makes it so ridiculously hard. And it is so ridiculously hard. You have to get a certain amount in order to, I believe you can actually buy chess pieces and tile pieces. And I assume you probably need those to actually complete the whole collection, which you also have to do for, an achievement. So I'm never going to finish this game. There's no chance in hell. The camera just... If you could control the camera, I think
If
this
it
game
wasn't-
would be a lot more doable.
Yeah, if it wasn't a fixed camera, I think it would be a lot more manageable.
Not only that,
sorry.
There's those little thin areas that you have to walk on as well in lots of the levels, and they're at angles. But again, the camera sucks. So I've totally not fallen off that half a dozen times. Or sometimes there's a sudden turn after you do a jump, but again, you can't see that it's turned. So you just fall to your death, which totally hasn't happened half a dozen times either.
I'm starting to think that these things might have happened to you.
No, never. I'm totally not angry at this game. Nope.
No, how angry are you? The game clocks in at $15. What are your verdicts on this?
I'd give it a try. I mean, I personally, I thought it was like an all right throwback to 3D action platformers from like the late 90s. I mean, it definitely has a Crash Bandicoot vibe to it, at least what it's going for. Like, it's not the worst thing I've played, but it still needs some work. But if you're looking for that kind of retro feel, this might scratch your itch, but you might also find some better titles for $15.
Yeah, in my opinion, the only people who should buy this are people who do want that old retro hard as balls experience. Because if you're like, oh, I just want a good 3D platformer, you have better options than this.
Yeah, but I mean,
going to drive you mad.
Yeah, but like this isn't like that. What is it, Babu the Walking Box or whatever it is?
Oh, Baba is you?
No. Joe knows what I'm talking about.
It's a really bad platformer.
Oh, I see.
Like Babbo the Walking Box or something like that.
Yeah.
And this isn't for kids either. Like, it looks like it's for kids. It's clearly not. They're no child. I can't imagine any child playing this game and being like, oh, I like this.
Yeah, this...
That's all.
If it were up to me, I would give this a deny it. I didn't click with it. It was too difficult for what it should be. It's like the whole coin situation. You go through a stage, you collect 150 coins, you go to the next stage, you misjudge a jump and you lose 50 of them.
You missed.
For me, it's a deny it as well, unless you specifically want those old retro hard as balls games. Yeah. That's the only way I could ever even put this as a try, because otherwise it's too hard, and the camera just sucks. It's the worst part of this game. If they fix that, I think it would be easily a try it at that point. If they would just let you move the camera around, but I don't really see them doing that for this game.
Yeah. Anyway, next game, Metro Quester, developed by 1000 Games, published by KEMCO, released December 15th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC for $19.99. Metro Quester is a dungeon exploration RPG based in a post-apocalyptic futuristic world with a deep game system that offers the excitement and surprises reminiscent of 1980s computer games through hack and slash. Chris, this sounds a lot different than what we're used to with KEMCO. So what is Metro Quester?
I'll say. Well, first I got to give a shout out to a separate company that actually has been putting 80s computer games on Japanese ones on the Switch here lately. They're called Egg. I forget what the full title is, but I'm trying to look right now. Stalling. But yeah, they basically came out with like a lot of the PC 88 games on the Switch, which is really cool. I just bought Xanadu, which is great for me because that was a game that came out around the same time as Legend of Zelda, and it's like the inspiration for a lot of games like Ys, and like Zelda 2 had a lot of inspiration from it, and like we never got it over here because yeah. And anyway, so lo and behold, as I'm enjoying this throwback that I'm having to relearn like this entire way of playing a game to play. We get a modern 80s throwback kind of PC looking game with Metro Quester. So what this is it is a dungeon crawler game. It will remind you of well, for one, it's hard to tell what's going on in the screenshots. That's how kind of primitive the look is. But it's basically like an old school dungeon crawler, but with like kind of a difference. So yeah, you are playing as a group of adventurers. Your adventurers are actually kind of pre-rolled. That kind of changes a little bit later, but you start off with the usual. You got a tank right in front. You've got an attacker. You've got a mage, a healer. Except that in this game, since it's modern, they're all like equivalents. So like your Vanguard character is like a riot police kind of guy, and like instead of a ninja, you have like a ranger, and your thief is just called a stealer. It's like a hacker kind of guy. Yeah, and then you have a monk, like a Buddhist monk kind of guy for your healer and such. And so it's, but like I said, they have like cool like portraits and stuff, and they're off to the side there. The presentation of the game, walking around the dungeon, which the dungeon is the ruins of a modern city. I believe it's Tokyo, but it's always Tokyo, isn't it? Your thing is that you start off at a campfire. You can move a certain amount of spaces away from this campfire, and your job is to explore the map. So what is kind of keeping you from just going off and looking at everything is the fact that you have air purifier points that are set at a certain amount and can only be replenished at the campsite. So as you walk, you reduce your air purification points by like 2, and then you get into battles, and battles, depending on how they go, will take up even more of those air purification points. And the reason why you want to get into battles and such is that there are 2 kinds of things that you want to have in order to make progress. One of them is food, and the other is resources. Instead of having separate kinds of resources, they define resources as just being like kind of all kinds of stuff, which in this game's abstract way, basically, food is it's food, but it's like there's a certain requirement about it. But resources are like your experience points, right? So in order to do like pretty much anything involving character growth, stat growth, gaining levels, improving, modifying, all of that takes up resources to do, and that makes your character stronger. Your characters also have like a certain amount of other kind of objects that kind of work as stats, and these work their way into the battles. So you have, for instance, drugs. You may start off with 2 drugs. Well, you need drugs if your monk is going to heal everybody, because he ain't doing it through chi power. He does it through drugs. Bullets for your mage, quote unquote, who is using bullets or gunpowder. There's also battery power. All of these things are required, and all of these things are stuff that you kind of build up as you go through the game. Either in exchange for resources, or like you come across them in battle, or as part of another thing. But like basically this is all stuff that you collect. Now, when you get into battles, you basically kind of set up all of your characters for their attack ahead of time. So think about it like the oldest school, like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, where you just choose all of your characters' things first, and then you start the battle. And as it plays out, if your character gets injured or something, you can change your strategies on the fly and such, or you can just kind of auto battle it up to 2.5 times speed and see how it plays out. The battle system is just, it's your same character portraits, but the game field is replaced with seeing the enemies represented kind of like cards on the battlefield, and they just kind of stack the deck, There's nothing to do with cards in this game. It's just a way that they present stuff, and that's actually because the main programmer of the game does card games other than this. So that's kind of how that's just the presentation. Think about it like Arcana or something on the Super Nintendo if you're real into obscurities, which if you're interested in this game, you are. And speaking of obscurities, well, not really obscurities, but like old school stuff. The artist of this game, I just wanted to say, is his name's in the thing somewhere. Have I actually Kazushi Hagiwara, who is the artist of Bastard with 2 exclamation points, which is a pretty popular anime manga and such, and that actually goes all the way back because there was a Super Famicom game about Bastard with 2 exclamation points. So, and that explains the character portraits being what they are, because it definitely looks like it's in that style. Anyway, so that is your kind of thing. You basically run into kind of junk blocks and clear them out, and sometimes you might find good stuff under them, like extra food or resources. And again, the food is important because, food is used as a resource, of course. It keeps your characters alive, too. Your characters require you to have a certain minimum of food at the end of a 10-day period. And every time you go back to your camp, then a day passes. So that's the kind of, linchpin of the whole thing. And the other thing is that as you explore, you uncover other campsites. And then from your original campsite, while you're camping, you can move your vehicle, which is literally a camper, over to another fireplace in exchange for some food. So it's essentially that if you have a surplus of food that you'll survive the next 10 days or whatever, then you can start to explore other parts of the dungeon. Because again, you can't move that far past the camping spot, both because you need to keep your characters alive and because you only have so much air purification. And of course, as you progress, then all this stuff kind of builds up until you beat the game, and then you get to New Game Plus it and just do it again at a higher difficulty. So, which is pretty great. This is definitely like a real treat for old school dungeon crawler fans, because it's kind of presented in a different way. It's a strictly top down, like literally you're looking at the top of your character's head and shoulders. You can see their little feet kicking out. The graphics are so simple that like it's usually 2 colors and that's it for the background. Like one for the background and one for the objects. And despite it having a full color palette, like your character portraits are a full color palette, but like, when you move, your character doesn't even change direction or anything. It just moves around like a chess piece or something. It's like the very first Dragon Quest before it was Dragon Warrior in the US, just a static walking in place character that you just kind of move around. And, your enemies are like little blobby guys that are, kind of cute, even though, they'll look completely different once you actually get into battles. It is really interesting. It does get deep. Certain characters require certain strategies. Certain enemies do. There's way more systems than I'm even letting on in this particular review, but I don't want to bog it down too much. The one thing that you will like, if you're interested, is the massive amounts of tutorials, a full manual inside the game, just like tons and tons of reading that you can do about how to survive and how best to thrive and everything. They even talk about the New Game Plus right there in the instruction manual, so they kind of get you prepped for that. Story's not super deep. Other characters join you as you make progress. They can be swapped out only on the campsites, and eventually the game will give you the ability to create your own characters. But again, this game kind of starts you off, I want to say simple. There's nothing simple about this game, but they at the very least they save the character rolls. Unlike Wizardry, you don't spend 3 hours rolling dice to get your characters going. That's kind of nice. And once you kind of get used to the whole thing of it, or at least just get your hands in there and get them dirty and figure out the gameplay loop. You definitely keep coming back to this one. Like, every time you go back to the camp, you're like, well, I can go back out again. there's only really penalties if you die. If you just run out of energy, then you just return to the camper. So it's not really a big deal at all. But if you die, then you lose half your resources and some of your food and stuff. So like that's a bad thing. You're going to spend a lot of time assessing whether you should run away from enemies in order to not get killed and lose half your resources. Because this is like an old school dungeon crawler in that you can't just save. You can't save scum it. You know, it auto saves all the time. And anything that you do can't really be taken back. But your characters all get restored, and your drugs, bullets, gunpowder, and batteries get restored after every single battle. So, you know, you're not left high and dry or anything. It's just you do have to play this one a little bit carefully, but it's very fun and rewarding if you do.
Oh, well, it clocks in at $20. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, $20 seems like such a high price when we're talking about two-tone graphics and like a character that won't even turn around when you move them. But gosh darn it, I like this game a lot. So look, you got to have the right attitude about a game like this. I think that there are plenty of people that do have the right attitude about a game like this, and to them, it's an easy buy it. Lots and lots of care and love went into the creation of this game, but those of you who are wanting a graphical feast, you know, a compelling story full of drama, or something that's not just wandering around the same dungeon, yeah, I understand. I totally hear you. It's a try it or, you know, catch it on a sale for a different flavor of experience, because it's not as punishing as your old school dungeon crawlers. So, you know, you'll at least be able to survive in it if, again, you're paying attention. Yeah, to all you guys, you know, it's a try it. There's not really, you know, if you just hate RPGs, then obviously don't try it. That's all I can say. It is something that is for the fans, as they say. So, but to the fans, I say this is a great title, and go ahead and buy it.
I'm glad you reviewed it, because it was one I was eyeballing. I went back and forth on it for a little while, because, like you said, the pictures on the eShop don't do it any justice.
No, you can't tell at all what's going on. Nope, no video.
There's no video,
and you know, like, when you read about it and you read about what the people, like, the only thing I recognize out of what everybody said, they're like, features an all-star cast of developers like manga artists who, you know, this guy, and also, you know, the game design, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are, because I'm not a Japanese gamer. All this stuff that these guys made stayed in Japan largely.
Yep. So
I only know about Bastard because there's a Super Nintendo game called Bastard, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, this is an anime. It's got a cool art style. Yeah, you know.
Cool.
What were you saying?
No, I was just saying, basically reiterating what you said.
Yeah.
What, the game that he's referring to is based on the anime, or vice versa?
No. I'm saying that the artist is the same artist.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the game's not based on anything. Also, it does have a video on the eShop now. I don't know if that was always the case, but
it totally wasn't, because well, maybe it was, and my memory's just shot. But either way, I couldn't get any indication of if this was the game I wanted. So I'm definitely glad that you're talking about it now, because I was like, oh, he's going to talk about this now. I look forward to hearing what he has to say. So
heck yeah. I put on the video, and it's like, it's still not really... Okay, it's kind of telling some stuff. It's like glitching out on me, though. Anyway,
we got to move on. Next game is Trinity Fusion, developed and published by Angry Mob Games, released December 15th on Series X and S, PS5, and full launch on PC for $19.99. Take control of your parallel selves and explore dark sci-fi worlds, slash, bash, and shoot your way through this unique roguelite Metroidvania where the only way to save the multiverse is to end it. Pernell, what is Trinity Fusion?
So Trinity Fusion is a game I actually talked about on this show a few months ago, but at the time it was in this early build phase. So this is the official 1.0 release of this game. So I may not go hyper extensive on the dialogue for it, but I'm going to talk about what I feel about it anyway, from what I've experienced here. The general premise of the game is that you exist in a world where humanity has decided to break up reality into multiple realities, with the intent being to let each one facilitate a specific aspect of human existence, like mining, or factory construction, or like development, and so on and so forth. It's a very weird premise for a game, but ultimately what it results in is multiple realities that are all at the precipice of extinction, and only one person who has the ability to be connected to her alternate selves in all three realities at once has a chance at stopping it. So this game kind of plays similar to like how like games like Dead Cells would play. Now it's a 2D roguelike, action roguelike game. You choose, well, early on, I mean, then again, they might have changed it from what I know, but I know I'm playing off of my old save file for the new build. But ultimately, there's 3 different characters, and they each play some slightly differently. For example, one character, she has the ability to like, kind of wall grapple. Another character has a double jump, and the other character gets like a grappling hook. And actually, the double jump character also gets like a really cool drone that she can launch upwards, which I think is great. She can take it where she wants it to go and then teleport to the drone. But these characters are exploring their specific realities. And depending on which character you choose, that determines the area you typically start out exploring on your adventure. You have access to different weapons also based on which character you're using. For example, one character might be proficient with dual axes or like quick slashing swords. Another character might be really proficient with sniper rifles. But again, depending on what character you use, that determines what kind of weapons they'll likely be utilizing or finding on their adventures exploring. But one thing that's kind of cool about this is that as you're exploring the dungeons, there are a lot of different resources you can come across or artifacts you can come across to benefit your journey, like most of these games. But one of note in this game is a sort of a fusion chamber where you can spend some money to fuse your current character with one of the other 2 characters, and that in turn combines their abilities into one character specifically for that run. And that's pretty awesome because by combining their traversal abilities, that depending on where you're at, that might give you the ability to reach places you otherwise couldn't if you were just one of not both of one person without the fused other on your body. So combat in this game is pretty fast and free. The platforming is also pretty fast and free. I have come to pretty much enjoy the action that takes place here. It's not unfair. I feel as though any death I've ever had in this game came of my own volition. And even when you do die, it's not particularly punishing. So I'll talk a little bit more about like what you can experience on these runs and then why the punishing isn't so much there. So you'll be battling a variety of different enemies in this game, depending on the region you go to, of course, like any game of this nature. But as you defeat them, you'll get money, which can be used for shopping in the run. But you'll also come across the occasional chest that needs to be opened by spending that money. And those chests can have various weapons and equipment that can be used to benefit your current run. But sometimes you may also find one of the 2 currencies that can be used back at the main hub once you've died to purchase upgrades that can help you on future runs, whether it be permanent health boosting or access to weapons that'll show up in future runs or stat builds that can increase your actual build of like sort of like one of my favorite ones that I purchased was one that made it so that when I found a weapon after a certain level, because you do level up in this game, but only for that run. But as you level up, you get more powerful equipment that's based on the level you are. And the upgrade that I got said that if I get to level 6 or higher, any weapons I have discovered will come with 2 bonus benefits in addition to just their basic stats, which is pretty nice. And weapons in this game, now I think about it, are pretty particular compared to a lot of other games of this nature too, because it's not necessarily just the usual aspect of like, hey, well, this weapon has X power or speed or range. But in this game, each weapon also has a small subset of like special moves it can do. And they tell you the button inputs for those special moves when you get the weapon. So you can look at it when you're comparing the 2 weapons, whether the one you just found or the one you're carrying, you might find yourself going, well, this weapon is more powerful, but the previous weapon I had a really cool charge attack to it, as noted here in the moves list. Therefore, I'm just going to stick with it. As you're exploring the dungeon, you'll also come across the occasional, perk chamber, where when you open it up, the game will give you access to choose one of 3 different perks that will be used for the rest of the run as well. And the perks in the game are pretty good, I think. I've rarely come across one where I felt it was a useless ability to have. Like one of my favorites was one where if you destroy an enemy, they have a 50% chance of exploding and doing damage to other enemies. You'll sometimes get ones where like if you dash through an enemy, you'll freeze them and they'll slow down for a couple seconds. Just a lot. Things for health. There's different categories of them too, like health benefits or attack benefits or mobility benefits. It's pretty solid.
Health benefits in this day and age are good to have.
Yes, they are. I mean, health insurance, man, ain't cheap. Health insurance is not cheap. In this game, you just get it in random chambers lying around the map. Also, I will say my favorite perk that I've had, especially in games like this, is there's one I came across where by having it equipped, if a projectile gets launched within like 5 meters of your character, it gets slowed down to give you more time to dodge it. So it's almost like a permanent bullet time. And I love it so much for just being a thing. So I wanted to point that one out for sure. I feel like this game, it's hard to tell 100% for sure, but I feel like this game has had a lot of improvements since when I originally played the original build that I had access to. I feel like there's more. I'm
going to say, if people want to go back and compare notes, you originally talked about it on 867.
There we go. Yeah, because I mean, like, but yeah, it's just a genuinely quality product. Like I feel like there's more weapon types even in this than I remember come across in the original build. Like, but there's bows and arrows. There's a bow and arrow set up in this game now. I don't remember ever come across the bow and arrow before, but maybe I didn't, just forgot. Either way, I think this game is pretty good. And one more thing I should mention, I think is pretty nice. I feel like the enemy behavior is pretty good too. Like, when you play a lot of games like this, you might come across scenarios where they give you a bunch of mook enemies, and then the occasional, oh man, that's a badass there, I gotta avoid him. This game, I feel like every enemy that you come across in the biomes, regardless of like what rank and file they fall under, is a threat. Like, you still have to watch your ass. You can't just be a goofball and just like walk into them and assume they'll just like leave you alone. Enemy placement is deliberate. And enemy typings, there's enough variety in them and what they can do that they're all a bit of an issue for you, which makes the actual game, moment-to-moment gameplay a bit more fun for me. All in all, I think this game turned out well. We have a plethora of games like this right now in the genre, but I feel like this one has a place. Like, this is good, and I genuinely recommend it to other people.
Oh, it clocks
and I
in
even mentioned the fact that I love how I keep coming up with things to mention. I even mentioned the fact that while you're exploring the biomes, you will find teleporters to other biomes as well that you can explore. So it's not even just one character goes to one biome. You'll be jumping from zone to zone.
Nice. Well, now I'm going to ask. It's $20. What's your verdict?
I would give this a buy wholeheartedly. This is fun.
Very good. All right, next up, Hirilun, developed by Gone Mad Studios, published by Ratalaika Games, released December 15th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5 for $9.99. Welcome to Hirilun, also known as the City of Shadows, where only the fleet of foot can rise to fame. In this mysterious environment, you'll race against the clock to reach your goal. Jacob, what is Hirilun?
So Hirilun is this first-person platformer game, which of course, like, you're also supposed to speedrun on. Think back to like the challenge levels for like the Mirror's Edge games, and except you're not being shot at. And you kind of have like the same idea. It's get from point A to point B in a very detailed, but also the world is almost all black and white, except for like very specific items that you're supposed to pick up or checkpoints that you're supposed to reach, which is kind of handy because then you're not, I mean, on one hand, you're overwhelmed by how awesome the world looks. Like it is a really nice looking game. But at the same time, like, by focusing on only a couple of colors, then, you know, it's way easier to manage where you're supposed to be going. And so you're supposed to be going from one objective to the next. One thing I found kind of cool is that, or not like one objective, but like one end of the map to the next. One thing I found pretty cool is that there is multiple ways to go about it. And there was one map that I just like completely skipped out on a checkpoint and just ended up hitting up the next checkpoint. And granted, I don't know that I actually shaved any time off, because I'm generally terrible at this kind of game. But like honestly, like I saw the screenshots, I saw the video. I wanted to see like what I was going to get into, even though I kind of knew like I'm probably not going to do too hot. Yeah, I have yet to beat any of like the bronze level times. But honestly, like I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, like it's various cityscapes. Like, you know, there's like towers, there's construction areas, there's sewers, like there's a factory level. And it's just, you know, you have to try to get from point A to point B as fast as you can. There's no fall damage, there's nobody trying to shoot you, you know, so you know, the game wants you to like take your time, figure out your path, and then go back and, you know, annihilate those times. Which, I mean, with more playthroughs, I did get better times. Just still not enough for bronze level. Thank you. But yeah, like honestly, like I'm pretty hyped about this. I wasn't expecting a game like this from Ratalaika Games. And it's pretty cool. Like it's a simple but very challenging speedrun game.
Well, it's $10 and it's actually on sale for the next week and a half for $8. What are your thoughts on it?
$10 is totally worth it. So yeah, $8, go for it.
Cool. All right, next up, Slipstream, developed by ansdor, published by BlitWorks, released December 13th on PS5 for $9.99. Slipstream is a racing game inspired by the visuals, music, games, and cars from the late 80s and early 90s, built on a custom game engine with an authentic retro feel and unique graphics that allow the player to literally go back in time. Chris,
literally,
how was it in the 80s as you played this game?
Didn't I review this for Xbox?
Possibly, but now it's on PS5.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, and it's on Switch. I wanted it on Switch, but I got it on PS5. That's fine. Okay, so Slipstream. Well, I mean, far from being unique. It is what it is it is a kind of a mishmash of pixel art and modern like 3D kind of engine. In order to recreate a racing game experience, the likes of which we have seen in games like Outrun and stuff. We have seen this before. Just from my collection, I can say, you know, you got like 80s Overdrive and Horizon Chase Turbo, for instance. But no, I actually do like this one, and kind of what it brings to the proceedings is a kind of an interesting like new way of kind of getting ahead, right? So in a normal racing game, which is F-Zero, because that's the racing game I know, you know, you can sometimes have like a turbocharge to get ahead of the competition and kind of, you know, get a leg up. Usually these are consumables, or, you know, they have some penalty for using them. So in Slipstream, as the title suggests, the way that you get ahead of other cars, besides, you know, souping up your vehicle, which we'll talk about in a moment, one, effective drifting. Yes, somebody actually just pointed that out in chat. The other thing is that you have to basically ride the slipstream of cars that are ahead of you. Now, what's a slipstream? What it is it's a physics thing where basically you are behind a car that is facing wind resistance. Well, since that wind has already been resisted right ahead of you, you now don't have to resist that wind, and therefore you can travel faster than a car that would normally be your equal. The way this game kind of treats it is that you tail behind a car, and it spells out the word slipstream across the bottom slowly. And when it spells out the whole word, you get a boost, and then you can like pass up folks. You're going to need this because no matter how easy you set the difficulty, the cars always seem to be able to rubber band up next to you, or, you know, get ahead of you pretty easily. But, you know, there's different ways you can mitigate this. But yeah, it's all kind of tucked away in the game's various modes. Of course, you can do just like a single race. You can do like basically like a branching kind of adventure against different rival racers, and as long as you beat the rival racer, then you get to move on, or you get to move on actually either way. But it all like basically gets tallied up at the end how many times you win or lose. The other racers are definitely caricatures sometimes. And they're smack talking you, and the smack talk actually kind of gets in the way of the gameplay. Fortunately, you can turn this off. But yeah, you can actually, you get dialogue in this game, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, you basically, either beat them or don't, and then you just choose your left or right path, just like a game of Darius. You get to choose like what planet you go to next. Except the planets in this case are just like your kind of typical, like, there's a green, like nice green field, forest, or like a big city, like a nighttime neon city, things like that, cool stuff. And they look really good because this game really packs that 60 frames a second kind of look. It runs real fast and real smooth. And like I said, even though your car is a bunch of pixels and stuff, it's like, you really do feel like you're moving very effectively throughout this racing thing. So then there's another mode where you basically do it like Grand Prix style, and try to get into first place in every race if you can. And if you do, you win a bunch of cash, and with all that cash, you can soup up your car. There's not much to know about souping up your car. It's literally 3 different things that you just make the points get bigger. So it's like, you take your engine from 10 to 15, and as it does, it'll change your acceleration and your top speed and stuff. You can also upgrade your tires and your gears. It's not, there's no car headed like aspect to this game at all. In fact, the game is nice enough that when you're selecting one of the game's many vehicles, it gives you the stats on those 3 items. The engine and the gears and tires. And then it actually translates it for you, and it's like, this car would be really good, but you really have to work to get it up to top speed, and but this one accelerates really good, but you have to like utilize your slipstream in order to get ahead because it doesn't have good top end. Things like that. It's really useful. And yeah, like I said, nothing too complicated. You also have multiplayer. I didn't get to test this, but I did see that it does up to 4-player split screen, so you can have that old Mario Kart feel if you want.
Very cool.
That's the only 4-player split screen racing game I ever really played. But it's there. I don't know if all 4 of them move at 60 frames a second, but on a PS5, I should sure hope so.
I think it actually runs at 120 if your TV's capable of it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I believe it because, again, this thing has all the frames. I mean, don't get me wrong on that. This has no performance issues whatsoever. It is completely devoid of them. I don't know about the Switch though. I'm actually, because I'm planning on buying this on the Switch so I can really play it, and we'll see how it goes there. But anyways, so yeah, then the like I said, the aesthetics, great looking 3D, very reminiscent of like the Sega. What did they call it? I don't remember the exact arcade cabinet they called it, but it's like the stuff that Outrun ran on, and especially like Power Drift and Galaxy Force 2, like kind of like the way that they would copy 3D, the way that they would give you the idea of 3D is that they would have just all of these kind of standees that would move by really fast. So it's just like moving past like 1,000 cardboard cutouts kind of thing. But that would be like what would form what your brain would put together as 3D. Well, this game copies that look, but it actually is 3D. So, that's why it's, so reminiscent. It also has a selectable soundtrack, just like Rad Racer. You can just choose whatever track or whatever music you want and whatever track you want. It certainly sounds 80s. It's, synthy and poppy and stuff like that. I would have liked some more like real bangers. I mean, we're copying Outrun, right? Like, let's get some. Like, there are some real bangers on there. It's just there's there's more chill than banger in this one, and I'm not sure why. But I mean, anyway, the best racing soundtrack, the best Sega racing soundtrack for my money is Power Drift. I mean, that was just so good. But no, the soundtrack is really good, and like I said, it does qualify as being very 80s sounding. I don't mean to disparage it. I'm just saying I did have to look around the soundtrack more than I thought I would have to. But yeah, like I said, it's a lot of fun packed into like one little package. So yeah, I'm for it.
Cool. It's $10. What's your official verdict?
I mean, I'm about to buy it on the Switch myself, so I mean, obviously, I'm gonna give it a buy it. But yeah, if you just can't get enough of these wonderful, throwback racing games that don't overload your brain with, mechanical things and simulation, this is definitely for you, like I said. And actually, so is Horizon Chase Turbo and 80s Overdrive. I mean, it's all good. But yeah, this one in particular is a good buy it.
Cool. And as mentioned in the comments, it is a solo dev. So
oh yeah, that's excellent.
Really cool.
I didn't even know. So great work.
All right. Well, we've got one final game to talk about this year, and we're gonna go to Kong Talk. Jacob, would you like a special intro just for this?
I would, yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Oh.
Final game to talk about.
Damn, you got me on that one. That sucks because I had. For obviously everybody can't read my Facebook chats with Joe, but I was like, man, we should if we had more time, we should have gotten a thing from Norg.
I was totally expecting that.
My idea was for him to talk about how the foundation of this podcast was built on reviewing crappy games and thank us for our service, and we'd have patriotic music playing in the background and stuff, but obviously 24 hours notice is not enough time.
The only sound effect you get is
I don't even know
what was that.
Final game to talk about. Skull Island.
Was that sound?
You don't need to worry about it.
Yes, I do. What was that?
It's a guy dying in a horrible Gilson B. Pontus game.
It's a ninja. Okay. It's a ninja dying, specifically a ninja dying in Shadow the Ronin: The Revenge to the Samurai.
That's the entire title of the game.
Oh yeah, I've reviewed it twice now. So
the fact that you can tell that that's where that from is kind of disturbing.
Well, I provided it, so I mean,
yeah,
I do kind of recognize.
Fair enough. Then never mind.
Yeah,
it's his fault, really. When you think about it. Speaking of people's fault, this final review is Jacob's fault. Final game to talk about is Skull Island: Rise of Kong, developed by IguanaBee, published by GameMill Entertainment. Released October 17th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC for $39.99. Embark on a third-person action-adventure quest to avenge the death of your parents at the hands of the ultimate alpha predator, Gaw. Conquer waves of primal beasts and defeat the minions of your arch-nemesis on your way to becoming the rightful king of Skull Island. Normally, we would preface things by saying, this game was provided to us by the developer. They didn't give us this one.
No.
We requested it.
This is for free.
Yeah, Chris, you bought this voluntarily, and then Jacob was like, oh, you should see if Chris would review it, because if he will, I'll buy it, and we could both do it. So, Jacob, start off. What is Skull Island: Rise of Kong?
Speaking of which, I fucking regret my idea. That was $10, that was $10 of Xbox credit and 15 of my hard-earned dollars I will never get back, along
plus
with
tax.
Oh God, plus tax, and also the time I spent last night streaming this damn game on Twitch. So
nice.
God. All right.
How many viewers did you lose?
None. I actually gained.
Wow.
No way.
I had 4 people watching. I had Joe, Bree, my friend Baron, and some mystery person. I don't know who the 4th one was.
Commander
Pity
Root.
Pity follows. I understand.
Maybe. But
anyway, what is Skull Island: Rise of Kong?
So, Skull Island: Rise of Kong tries to tell us the story of how King Kong came to be and ruling over this island. And we start off with a really crappily animated cutscene with audio that sounds like it was recorded off of somebody's like cassette player from the 1980s, played through a tin can, and like
I don't like to harp on technical difficulties of games because you never know what they were going through with this, but the audio quality of the voice acting in this game is mind-blowingly awful. It's like real audio player.
Isn't this entire game a technical difficulty?
I mean, we'll find out.
I would assess it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and she tries to
give us spoilers of the review. I'm on the edge of my seat.
I didn't even play it, so.
I mean, we've already said that Kong's parents die, so, Anyway.
Well, it's in the description, so that's okay.
Yeah. So you play as a young Kong, and after witnessing your parents get killed, you have to roam around the island pretty much aimlessly, just randomly finding like the next thing to go to. And what I like about it is that there is a RAR feature, which is supposed to tell you where to go, but it only points in a vague notion of of where the next thing is. And more often than not, I ended up finding where I was supposed to go just by literally falling into it.
I want to say I'm disappointed we don't have Bree here to give us a proper RAR.
That's true, because I did have to fight numerous crabs. But yeah, so pretty much I ended up finding more collectibles than I found places where I was supposed to be going next. Through my dumb luck, and it's just the game doesn't tell you where to go. It doesn't tell you what to do. It does the narrative is barely there. It's just Kong went around the island, beat up a bunch of animals, and that's how he came to be. Like, are you surprised by this? No, we've all watched a King Kong movie before. Like, we all know that this is how it works. And on top of it, holy crap, this game is punishing for everything. Like the health, there's not enough of it on the island. It doesn't replenish itself, and it's like you don't have any way to I don't know. I mean, I guess I wouldn't expect a huge gorilla to be able to save leaves to eat during a battle, but holy crap, you could just give us more than one, because most of the time you're running around with next to no health. Because healing, screw you if you want healing. And so then you're stuck listening to Kong running around the island with a boom, 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 boom of the heartbeat to tell you, hey, you're fucked, which we already knew because we bought this game.
If you want irritating death music, you've never played Wizards and Warriors for the NES.
I have. I beat that thing. 2/3
of the game are just do 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 do. Do just for hours on end. Yes, love it. Good shit. Not good shit is this game, Skull Island. Chris, tell us about your time with it.
Okay, so Skull Island. Well, I feel like it's worth mentioning that it kind of tells the story of we have King Kong at home, brand King Kong, but the thing to know about this is that the first hour to an hour and a half of the game is learning how to play the game with its thousands of mechanics by playing as Kong's mother, who has all of these mechanics unlocked. So you spend all this time learning how to do things like, doing a focused long jump, which sucks.
Oh my god!
How to do all these combos and stuff, and then when you get control of your actual Kong boy, it's all taken away from you. It has to be unlocked again. So
there were so many times I was double checking to make sure I wasn't able to do the long jump thing, and I really appreciate the fact that the command to make yourself run, it may not work. That's cool. It just randomly decides when you're going to be able to run and when you're not.
And there's it's way too complicated. The controls are. One of them literally is push the R button 3 times or press the R button in the middle of the air to do a ground pound, and that's the only way you can break through certain kinds of floors.
Oh my god!
And even then, that's simplified like from the PC version. Like you know, and there's a whole separate like power move that you have to do in a certain way in order to break down doors that look like teeth. And yeah, like you're spending like the first however many hours until you find like the place to go, just fighting little chickens and crabs. And you know, Kong is supposed to be pretty ginormous as an ape, right? That's kind of his defining feature.
Yep.
The way that the rest of the game is designed, your Kong feels like he's about 3 or 4 feet tall.
Everything else is bigger than you.
Yeah, everything all the way down to vines that you have to climb, which by the way, you can just climb them by jumping at them, and it's like way faster than he doesn't even reach out his arms. Yeah, you just kind of headbutt your way up a wall, and that's how you climb vines, like with any kind of speed.
And I love like how if like you had to climb up vines that were going around something, you like the animation essentially stops. It's like it's almost like you reached a corner and the game doesn't know what to let you do next, and so yeah, you're just stuck there, and so you have to jump, which either will let you grab onto the next vine area or you're gonna fall and you may take fall damage. Who knows?
And the only thing about, you know, taking damage and stuff is if you happen to reach a checkpoint, then you die and you get, you know, your life back, so that's okay. It doesn't get you.
Don't.
What?
No, you don't. Nope. If you die during like an arena or a boss battle, it is like go fuck yourself. You like hope you like hearing that heartbeat again.
Okay. I guess I was just thinking about if the exploration segments, because
if you die, I think if you die in exploration, it just gives you your life back. Because I remember that happening, and then the first time I had to face off against the crab boss, it was just like bum 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 bum, and I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Great. Well, that's something to look forward to. So,
no, it's not.
So, talk. I guess I can go a little bit about about some of the technical issues, which do abound. Largely, so I was just praising a game for having kind of minimalist graphics and stuff like that, or being good despite minimalist graphics. The thing is, the idea is just to not let your grasp exceed your reach, kind of thing on that. So in this game, it's like sometimes it will despawn water, and it will just show a reflective polygon when you're walking through the water pretty consistently. Like you can just make it happen. Sometimes, or like often when you're running towards trees, the top half or the bottom half will appear or disappear depending on your distance, and you can get right up on them without the tree trunk actually forming. Like, mountains float off of the ground quite often. Some of them are just permanently that way.
The popping is awful.
The popping is terrible. Of course, the legendary cutscenes, which feature in-game models trying to move around in a scripted way to, no avail, because, like I said, it ends up being really jerky, and assets will freeze or not load. And then when Kong, we all know the viral one of Kong, hearing the roar of a dinosaur, and then a flat JPEG of the dinosaur appears for several frames, as because that's his memory of anything that happens in the past is always done in JPEG format. And that actually, I'm pleased to announce that is every cutscene that this game gives you, is some kind of Kong getting mad and remembering something that happened to his parents dying or something, and then it'll just cut to a JPEG of his parents being dead, and it's just you cannot take this seriously at all. It's so ridiculous. I love that about it. What?
So we've heard from two people who have played the game. Let's hear from two people who haven't played the game. Pernell and Aki, what are your thoughts on this game? Neither of you?
Awesome.
Pernell, what are your thoughts on Skull Island Rise of Kong based on what you've heard tonight?
I know I'm keeping my damn money in my pocket where it belongs. You guys are maniacs for even giving it a chance in the first damn place. Screw that. Money's too precious to be buying freaking Monkey Island Skull of Kong. Screw that.
Hey, I only did it because Chris bought it. You know,
Hey, I get you did it. You wanted a
No,
social
this is your
interaction
fault,
moment.
Jacob. You cannot push the blame on anyone else
true.
for this one.
He was going to.
This was
also,
entirely your idea.
I feel like Chris would have probably bought this on his own, regardless of the idea.
I mean,
he was
did.
already kind of chosen for it. So you joined on board, which I get may have been like, hey, this is a good opportunity for some social interaction with my buddy, talking about this trash game together. But nonetheless, you made a brave choice. That oof.
Aki, what about you? Any thoughts on Skull Island based on what you have heard here tonight?
If there was ever a good reason for a company to shut down, well, this might be it.
God damn.
I could understand Aki's personal vendetta against them. They did come out with that same, Walking Dead game.
Again, that wasn't a bad game.
No, wait, hold on. I thought that was just GameMill.
It's GameMill.
Yeah, but I'm talking
publisher.
about the devs. Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
They're different developers, just the same publisher.
Yeah. What is it, Joe? Do you know what this dev has done before?
IguanaBee? Oh Lord, they've been around a while, haven't they?
I'm looking them up right now. So yeah, because like the publisher, I guess, can't be blamed either because they also came out with Cruise and Blast, which I loved. So.
Oh, they did.
I mean, no, the publisher can totally be blamed.
Well, yeah. By the way,
that's exactly who I'm blaming.
By the way, if you go to, they made that G.I. Joe game.
Yeah, G.I. Joe Operation Blackout. They did Little League World Series 2022, and they did What Lies in the Multiverse.
What Lies in the Multiverse? What the heck's that?
Yeah. That's a good game, actually.
That one was also done by Studio Voyager, and they used a Game Maker Studio too, so less room for error there.
Yeah,
and it wasn't published by GameMill.
Yeah, but
I was gonna say I played the Little League, and what was the other one?
G.I. Joe Operation Blackout. I thought G.I. Joe was solid.
It was okay, but it was also the slowest shooter I've ever played. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can technically shoot in Skull Island, so...
That's true. You can throw boulders.
So I just wanted to point out the interesting graphical representation of when Kong does his little yell and it shows you like points of interest. It does it by sending out these slow white streamers into the air, and so it just looks like, directional jizz. Right? Am I the only one seeing that?
Okay, maybe game of the year. Who knows?
I would have expected a comment like that from me, not you, Chris.
Well, I was waiting for it. I didn't want the review to go without it, but oh my god, I'm playing it right now, and I'm like walking through this grass, and it's just clipping in and out like completely. By the way, So when I was playing through this game, I'm playing in I'm just in the first area really, and I climbed to the top of these vines and stuff, and Kong just started running in place, and I was not able to move him. If I moved him back or forward or jumped, he would sometimes scooch a little bit forward, but he was very much stuck. I got a video of it, and so I loaded I saved it, and I loaded my save, and then the game crashed. And then when I did finally get the save loaded, it was fixed. But I have a few videos already of this dang thing.
Oh yeah, I broke the game last night.
Yeah,
Did you break the game, or did the game break you? Let's be honest.
Did you break the
I don't
game,
think you can break this broken game.
The real question is, did you break the game, or did it put itself out of his misery?
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, I broke it. I hopped into an area that I wasn't supposed to, and
I kind of feel like you were trying to break it when you were playing, because you kept trying to go out of bounds.
I kept trying to figure out where the hell I was supposed. I was trying to figure out where the hell I was allowed to go. Like the game, because the game doesn't make that clear either. Like there's hallway. Like I actually found a hallway. Like that looks like it was supposed to end up being a cave. Yeah, it led to nowhere. Like,
and by the way, you're right. I just died, and I woke up with like no health. So
yep.
I don't know where I thought that was. Maybe it's just when you're playing as Kong Mom. Because it seemed like she woke up with like actual.
Well, no, because I didn't die as Kong Mom until like the actual scripted death.
Oh, I did.
Well,
but maybe
anyway,
I'm not Kong
this
of the
game
year.
is $40. We need a verdict on this. What are your thoughts?
oh my God, no! Not even for 15.
So I'm gonna say a few more words about it.
Fuck,
so-
shit, piss, no.
No. God, I'm not the angry video game nerd over here. Let me find something someone else wrote right quick and read it to you, actually.
Unique.
I am going to be the HVGN. Yeah, unique. No. So, like, here's the thing about Kusoge in general. Like, just games that are so bad they're fun. There's certain games that are so bad that they come back around to not being fun again. So... even with this games like glitches and stuff, it's like, games have glitches. Games have, design choices that are weird. They have a complete lack of soundtrack for some reason. Not a whole lot of them have still JPEGs for flashback scenes. That one's a new one for me. But ultimately, the game itself, if every problem was fixed, it's still like this thing of just endlessly exploring, just punching these boring battles against chickens and like lizards and stuff, where that takes like 1,000 punches to like get anyone. Like the cool thing about King Kong, like all the way back in like the 1930s or 40s, whenever the first film came out, is like he took a T-Rex and just pulled the thing's mouth apart, like by cracking its jaw and stuff, and like. That was in black and white and stop motion. Like, those, you can do so much with the character, and just having him rolling around this area where he looks like a miniature, and punching little chickens like 10 times to like try and beat them and stuff, perchance to unlock enough skill points to get a single skill. Which, by the way, we didn't talk about.
Oh my God.
You have to fight so many enemies to get a single skill point, and it takes 5 skill points to unlock one skill, and their skills are in a tree. So, anyway, this game expects you to spend a lot of hours playing it. But yeah, anyway. With all this, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, for my summary of it, it's just, even though it's based on films, and it commits like the worst crime of cinema. Not only is it fucking terrible, but it's also boring as shit.
Yeah, ultimately, that's how it goes, is that it's so boring, it overrides the entertainment that one can get out of how bad it is. So this is a game that you can like show people for a few minutes, or you can go ahead and beat it and just say you did, and it's like people are still not going to want to watch it.
I mean, I had 4 people, so I don't. That's the most. That's the most my channel's ever had. So,
congratulations, that's great. I mean, 4
Thank
people.
you.
That's better than I do on an average. But anyways, even though I'm on like a stream hiatus right now. But anyways, so yeah, it's just the game is just so plodding and like has so much like just doing nothing, that you're just going to want to run up to a rock and just look through Kong's face at his eyeballs just floating there looking at you, which I did.
Yep, we did too.
Yeah, you got to do that. And it's like, yeah, definitely not worth the money. I sat here and watched the thing like fluctuate in price by only a little bit because they really don't want you to know about this game anymore. It's not even on GameMill's list of games. If you go to their website right now, it's not there. It's not there.
Wow, this game rated so badly for them that they're trying to hide its existence now?
The creators of Nickelodeon All-Star Racing 1, 2, and 3 will not list Skull Island Rise of Kong on their list of all their video games. And I checked that. I checked it just today before we went live. So, I mean, like...
I wonder how the actual team feels, given that their game was so bad that the company's like, no, we want to disavow this game's existence.
Yeah. And it's like, I can't be mad at the game. I'm not mad at the game. I don't get mad at games. But, like, it's not like a thing of, like, decay of logos where it's like something was tried and it just didn't pan out. And it's not like Agony where it's, like, just this terrible experience, but it's meant to be because somehow they think people are going to like that. This is just, like, it's a nothing sandwich and it's gone moldy, you know? So it,
You know what? I was gonna
what?
say, you know what's worse about this? Like, I made a comment last night that this is like the kind of game only Brash Entertainment would have released.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, Brash put out better games. Like I played their only 2 games on Xbox, Space Chimps and Jumper, and I would much rather play either of those games than sit through Skull Island again. Like this is.
Speaking of things you don't want to sit through the rest of this review, I'm going to cut it here because I don't want to hear about this game anymore. So that is it. That is it for this episode. It's been a fun year. It's always good doing the show with all of y'all. We'll go down the list. Everyone's going to have some final words before we wrap this up for the year. Aki, give us some final words.
Fuck Kong. The best King Kong based game was Rampage.
Hey, Chris, how about your final thoughts on the whole year?
I'm gonna say that the best King Kong game was King Kong 2 Ikari no Megaton Punch.
What system was that?
The Famicom.
All right, Jacob, give us your final thoughts.
Looking forward to playing nothing but Disney Dreamlight Valley for an entire month, and wait for more coverage from me as long as Joe continues this fucking podcast.
Huzzah!
Good luck.
Here, here.
Pernell, final thoughts on the year and everything else.
It was a fantastic year. I am glad to get a bit of a breather in from the show and from just general stuff. Play your games, get your enjoy time with your family, and look forward to Like a Dragon next year. That's why I got to finish freaking the one that just came out last year, or 2 years ago. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I got to finish it now.
What, the Man with No Name came out like 2 months ago, didn't it?
No. I mean, like,
you're talking about
the RPG
the main.
one.
All right.
Like a
I thought
Dragon.
you were talking about the most recent one.
Oh no, I'm all about the RPG ones myself. I have other
What is
Yakuza
it?
games.
Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the Man with No Name, something like that.
Adding to that, definitely go out there and play some good games like Micetopia.
Yeah, play some good stuff. Enjoy the time away from us for the next month or so that we're going to be gone. Thanks to all of you for being here, doing your thing every week. Big thanks to Brooke, who couldn't make it. I think she had some kind of work event tonight. Thanks to Bree for coming on, doing her thing when she's around. Big thanks to Tim and Andy for coming on, hanging out with us tonight. Music, we're going to play some Christmas cheer from our good friend Stemage, who fulfilled a request of mine I've had for years of throwing sleigh bells on Marigold from his Narrowband album. So we're going to wrap up the show with a snow-kissed Marigold.
Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Yo ho ho.
Ho ho ho, I'm Santa. I'm going to shit down your chimney.
God damn, that poor child.
What? Like, it was a good ending, and then you had to talk about shitting down a chimney.
Happy Hanukkah to you guys.
It's the Jacob way.